Elf I am the protagonist template, Invincible Chapter 201-220. Chapter 201, One Ball Dog How, the consciousness is cut off. For full order. As soon as these words came out, a sense of disgust rose in Baizi's heart for no reason. He frowned slightly, and when he turned his head to see who was coming, a clear look flashed in his eyes. It was this guy. A black hair with a strange hairstyle similar to a throwing monkey, with 2 red hairpins on it. The upper body is red and gray, with a white handlebar-like mark printed on the chest. The cornered semi-tight black trousers reveal the red socks at the ankles, and a pair of the latest Flame Horse sneakers are underfoot. He also carried a shiny metallic brown backpack on his back. Dark skin. A fashionable outfit for a spirited boy. And this kind of dress and appearance, coupled with that annoying arrogant expression. Let Baizi recognize at a glance that the guy in front of him is the Pokemon. One of the protagonists of Journey, Xiaohao. Seriously. There are quite a few flawed chapters in Pokemon and some characters that aren't very likable. But if these chapters and characters are the most disgusting, it is Journey and Xiaohao in the 8th generation. It's not that Baizi wears tinted glasses to see the new protagonist in Pokemon, it's really the character of this guy. His wife is so annoying. Let's not talk about the attributes of his one-ball Superman. Just talking about his topsy-turvy and self-contradictory remarks in Journey is enough to make people very disgusting. For example, in the last episode, he said that he agreed with Xiaoji as a friend, and the next episode said that he saw the wrong person. The first few minutes said that he would not be Xiaoji's friend, and the next few minutes when he needed help, he said that he would be Xiaoji's friend. In front of Xiaoji helping Pokemon is human selfishness, and then, Go-How himself helps Pokemon and becomes brave for the sake of. There are so many more. Especially when he was conquering the giant clay puppet, the first 90% of the HP was played by Xiaoji alone, and the result was almost subdued. I'm just after this episode, I don't like this Go-How anywhere. Good guy. That is, he met Xiaoji. In the case of a serious case, I will directly sue you for an elf occupation, not to mention keeping the file for observation. More serious, you can completely apply for revocation of your trainer qualification. And this kind of behavior, in the elf world, is abhorred by all trainers. It is exposed to the internet for you, and the rats crossing the street will not talk about it. Believe it or not, you can't raise your head within 3 generations of your family. Besides, it was Go-Hao's scene in Alola's return that spoke. I never thought of helping Xiaoji realize his dream. The dream should be realized by myself. Right. You are ready to help Ash achieve his dreams. You just don't have that ability. But why are you so embarrassed to say the phrase, dreams should be realized by yourself? If you can't beat it, then propose a team battle, then Xiaoji will take the lead in your paddling, and finally you will subdue. Oh, co-authoring Xiaoji is not a human being, it is just a tool, throw it away when you run out, and then this is what you earned by your own efforts. There is also always, Xiaoji help me, Xiaoji, can you let me subdue? Good guy, put a bowl on your head, and begging is considered to be your own effort. Then you are really working too hard. To be honest, when I first saw this level, Bai Zhaoxuan didn't punch the computer screen. Fortunately, poverty stopped him. Therefore, if Baizi has an old father-like hatred for Xiaoji, for Go-How, there is only a very pure hatred left. Therefore, after confirming the identity of the other party, naturally there will be no good face. So what do you want to express? Prove that you are not deaf at a young age, at least you are still very sensitive to eavesdropping on other people's conversations. You. Xiaohao's expression suddenly turned green. What are you? You are eavesdropping on other people's conversations, and you still look so righteous, why? Thinking that everyone in the world is your father, will they all be used to you? Brainless. Xiaohao was so choked that his heart throbbed, and a little black face turned purple. But before he could refute anything, Baizi turned around, picked up Lily who was a little ignorant, and walked towards the registration point of the Pokemon Conquer contest. Xiao Hao was trembling with anger, but just looked up. Nazi, who was following Bai Zi's side step by step, suddenly turned around at this moment. The crystal-clear purple-red pupils just met the eyes of Xiao Hao, who was looking over, and a ray of fluorescent green streamer flashed away. Okay. Bai Zi stretched out his hand and pulled Nazi, and the burning white halo flashed away, blocking Nazi's continued mental shock. He knows too well what kind of temper Xiao Hao is. Arrogant. Opinionated. The mind is still small. Being choked directly by him like this, coupled with the secret loss from Nazi, it is naturally impossible to give up easily. Therefore, there is no need to make a heavy hand in the public, so as not to fall for such a guy. There are so many ways to make him feel miserable that Bai Zi wants to clean up. You have a new understanding of the use of spiritual power, you have gained a little, and you have acquired superpower skills. Consciousness isolation, superpower proficiency increase, spirit +8. Behind. Xiao Hao only felt a buzzing sound in his brain, his consciousness was like a power outage, and he was in a trance for a moment. During this time, he felt his body relax for a while. It was like being completely freed from the shackles of consciousness. But wait until you recover. Where are the figures of Bai Zi and the others? And at the same time, he suddenly felt a dampness coming from his lower body. A bad premonition suddenly rose from Xiao Hao's heart. But what followed was a clearer perception, as well as the sound of discussions and taking pictures that seemed to confirm what he was thinking. Who is this kid? He's dressed like a dog, and he's not too young. How can he still defecate anywhere? Good money Zhao, that is to say, it's really incompetent. Yes. Take pictures, and expose the kid to the internet. Kacha. Hearing this, Xiao Hao was suddenly awakened and glanced at a long black man. The map he had drawn on his trousers, and the oncoming camera flash made him even more ashamed. Go away. When even with a roar, he staggered up from the ground, ran away with water stains all the way. Islet. P.S. In order to write this chapter, I reviewed the general plot of Journey, again, and I have to go to Guhao's point. Emma, it is a good medicine for low blood pressure, I suggest friends who have this need. We watched repeatedly covering their faces. Chapter 202, Self-Inflicted Sin, a good start. For full order. I have to say, Guhao is still a little smart. To hide his embarrassment, he deliberately found an open-air fountain plaza to get wet. So he found a clothing store covered in water, and changed his clothes from everywhere. Chengwei, 6,425, you can just give 6,400. Well. Wearing a peaked cap and using a hood to cover his face almost completely, Xiao Hao paid the money in pain, and hurried out of the store. Grows so big. He hasn't suffered such a big loss yet. Although he was born with a disgusting face, but relying on the identity of his childhood sweetheart Xiaoqin's father, Dr. Sakuragi, to pull the tiger's skin and pull the banner, no one has ever dealt with him. But he never thought that on the first day of traveling from Kanto to Fenglai City in Chengdu, he would suffer such a big upswing. So, he will never give up. I remember that guy is going to participate in the Pokemon Conquering Contest held in Fenglai City. Well, is your stage right? I will show you clearly the gap between mortals and geniuses. Although the main purpose of coming to Fenglai City is for a mysterious elf named Zeraora. But now, he has made up his mind that he must win the championship of this Pokemon Conquering Contest, and then stand on the podium and taunt the loser. As for Zeraora, I can only find and conquer it later. Good. The reason why Xiao Hao diverted to Fenglai City was to conquer Zeraora. Although his dream is to conquer the legendary Pokemon 387, Dream, as his first elf. But go all the way. The difficulties encountered in the short trip made him withdraw quickly. If he went back the same way and went to get the original elf Yan Rabbit that he rejected, he would be a little embarrassed. Just take one on the road, he doesn't like it. Therefore, inadvertently cross the pictures and texts where Dr. Sakuragi went, and learn the information of the mysterious elf Zeraora in Fenglai City. Xiaohao decided immediately and reluctantly subdued this suspected new type of elf Zeraora, and let it wish him a helping hand to find the dream footsteps. But first of all, he must win the championship of the Pokemon Conquering Contest. For this, Xiaohao is very confident. And his confidence comes from the special equipment in his backpack, which he borrowed from Dr. Sakuragi, one by one, to blur the electronic eyes of the big needlebee. Tiny electronics accept contact lenses. Watch anesthesia. ACBH Pokeball bounce bracers. Power running shoes. With all this, I see how you can beat me. In the corner, Xiaohao released dozens of semi-intelligent electronic bees, put on contact lenses, anesthesia and ejection wrist guards, and put on power running shoes. After jumping up and getting used to it, he immediately said with a look of not being ashamed but proud, I will let you see clearly what is the difference between a genius and a mortal. His eyes turned back to Bai Zi. After registration. Central Avenue. Players on the platform. Big brother, you have to work hard. Bai Zi, who was doing warm-up exercises casually, immediately smiled and waved his hand in response after hearing Lily's cry. Beside him, the mega-shaped alienated stinger bee like a steel coating also attracted the attention of many contestants and spectators. And with Bai Zi's wave. Except for Lily, who responded with excitement. Junie's unique appearance, coupled with the eye-catching big stinger bee, also attracted cheers from many onlookers. The other side. Corner of the platform. Dressed in a duck tongue and a hood, Xiaohao, who wrapped himself tightly, stared at the back of Bai Zi's head with envy on his face. In Xiaohao's view, everyone's attention and praise should be placed on him. The white hair in front of me, in addition to being a little more handsome, a little slender, a little bit rarer, a little bit more temperamental. What use are these external things? Only learning hours and ability are the keys to measuring a trainer. Wait, I will definitely impress you all, that guy can only be stepped on by me. Xiaohao roared in his heart. PFF. And beside him, because there is no elves, his partner, little Rada, who was temporarily assigned to him by the venue, seemed to sense the hostility of the boy next to him, and couldn't help but shrank his head to the side. Fly camp dog go. A stand was only a dozen or 20 meters in length and width. Naturally, such obvious malice could not overwhelm Bai Zi's perception. At the same time, the messy equipment hidden on Xiaohao's body is also invisible under the scanning of superpowers. But Bai Zi wasn't going to expose him just like that. The Pokemon Conquering Contest held in Fenglai City has been going on for decades, unless, as in the theatrical version, there are insiders secretly working on songs. Otherwise, do you really think you can cheat and win so easily? The electronic eyes all over the city's main roads can completely make all your small movements invisible, and even completely exposed under the screen, in the eyes of citizens and tourists from all over the city. You don't need to think about Bai Zi to know. After today, even if he doesn't do it himself, Guhao will definitely be famous overseas. It's self-defeating, you can't live. Bai Zi sighed in his heart with a smile on his face. And at the same time, the competition has finally officially announced the start. The regular event of the Wind Festival, the Pokemon Conquering Contest, has finally officially started. Under the enthusiastic voice of the narrator, everyone turned their attention to the large and small screens arranged all over the city. The narrator in a neat suit held the broadcasting equipment by his ear. Clenched fist. The rules of the competition were read aloud. The rules are very simple. All the competitors need to do is to find the marked Pokemon in the Windlade City and capture them. But most Pokemon are not so easily captured. If you use the ordinary method, it will definitely not work, so please all contestants, make good use of the special balls we distribute to conquer them. The higher the level of the captured Pokemon, the more points. The player with the highest score for capturing the Pokemon within the specified time will win our final prize. Following the introduction of the narrator, the elves flashed quickly on the screen. Some of There is no shortage of final evolutionary forms of the three imperial families, and even the well-known quasi-god in Chengdu, Banghira's triple evolutionary form, has flashed. It can be said that this handwriting is quite big. All the players are in their places. Prepare. Start. With the end of the splash screen, all the participating trainers rushed out quickly when the commentator gave an order. Wow, cheers suddenly spread from the entire venue to the whole city. This feeling is really good. Baizi also seemed to be infected by the enthusiasm that spread throughout the city. With one step, he stepped over the fence, and dexterously climbed out from the side, using his strength to hold the wall. As soon as the figure was vertical, the monkey rushed up, strode forward, took off, and landed in an alley with a click. And in front of him, a fiery beast just turned around and stood face to face with him. It looks like this is a good start. Chapter 203. A Ride to Juchin, Who's Cheering For? Firestorm. Gym Elementary, Level 36, 2100s. Boom tilde. Firestorm beasts have never been good-tempered, so the first time they met Baizi on a narrow road, the flames around their necks burst into flames, roaring at Baizi like a demonstration. Big Needle B. Strike lightly and attack with double needles. Beer tilde. A stream of light flashed, and the big stinger had unknowingly bullied the firestorm beast. The long spear swayed sharply, and from behind, it slammed directly on the side face of the firestorm beast, knocked it straight into the sky, and smashed it onto the corner of the wall. Your big needle bee instantly kills the firestorm beast. You get a little gain. Combat experience +1, big needle bee experience +2, double needle proficiency +1. The first. With the sound of the system, Baizi tapped a special ball in his hand. In an instant, the green light flickered, and the firestorm beast carrying the special triangular mark was immediately put into the ball without any resistance. There was thunderous applause, accompanied by bursts of cheers from the surrounding crowd. Baizi waved his hand with a chuckle, and ran out of the aisle that was out of the way of the crowd. Then he accelerated suddenly, leapt towards the strange building in the shape of a slope, buckled his hands up, grabbed the eaves while standing upright, and a 360-degree turn fell onto another street. One left and one right, the Gotha duck and the duck-billed fire dragon, who were in a confrontation, immediately turned their attention to Baizi, the uninvited guest. Gotha duck. Elite Advanced, Level 33, 6100s. Duck-billed fire dragon. Elite Advanced, Level 33, 85/100s. Are they all elites? Under the sunglasses, the brilliance that no one can see flashed away, and after seeing the level of the two sides, Baizi's mouth suddenly raised slightly. It seems that my luck is really good. There are two big fish. Words fall. Not waiting for the two elves to react, a bright silver streamer suddenly flew out from behind Baizi. Under the metallic coating, needle arms are like guns. Under the silent gaze of the scarlet worms, the two competitive elves, the Gotha duck and the duck-billed fire dragon, felt a tingling sensation in their backs. The throat, back of the head, heart, and liver all had a faint coolness, as if they had been pierced by an invisible edge. Come on tilde. Gollum tilde. Gotha duck and duck-billed fire dragon were sweating profusely on their heads, and they couldn't help but take a step back. Especially the duck-billed fire dragon. The sweat was instantly evaporated by the scorching high temperature on the outer layer of the skin, forming a stream of water vapor, which curled up from the top of the head like cooking smoke. You two are also. Should I praise you for being sharp, or for being timid? Seeing this, Baizi couldn't help shaking his head and chuckling. Don't worry, I'll be fast, and it won't hurt at all. A word of comfort. Subsequently, Baizi wiggled his fingers twice. Big stinger B. Accompanied by this order, the giant stinger swooped down like a phantom. At the same time, the venue on Central Street. Oh tilde tilde tilde. With the cheers of the commentators, one of the large screens in the venue was directly converted from the original split-screen state to full screen. The video played above is exactly the picture of Baizi and the giant needle bees traveling through the city. and the upper right corner of the screen. The blue scorer shows Baizi's score at this time, 1-1-0-2. We can see that at the beginning of the game, Baizi from Junshin Town directly opened the gap with other players. First, he defeated the gym-level elf Firestorm Beast with less than 10 of them neatly, and then, with 1 versus 2, he conquered the elite-level Gota Duck and Duck-Build Fire Dragon one after another. Less than 10 minutes after the start of the game, Baizi has already won 3 elves cleanly, with a total score of 102. No. It's 121 points now. Baizi has conquered another zebra. Ah, there's action again. Move, move, Baizi's movements are so agile. Walls, streets, and any obstacles seem to become power points. It's so cool. His strength is also very strong. See Xing, Forotos, long-tailed monster. Baizi has conquered 3 elves one after another. It can be seen that his expression is very relaxed, and the cooperation with the giant needlebee is seamless, and he uses the environment to the extreme. Now Baizi has conquered 6 elves with a total score of 191. 0. Ask for flowers. This is amazing. The commentator stood up excitedly, and the integrator list. It can be clearly seen that this far exceeds the total score of the second-place player Tai and his partner Fire-Breathing Dragon, with a total score of 55 points. It's only 10 minutes after the start of the game, and Baizi is almost ready to win. Let's give this great trainer a big cheer. While one by one from the venue, waves of cheers spread throughout the city, and the warm atmosphere pushed the competition to a high 21 tied. Of course, this naturally also includes Lily. The little guy was holding the 2 dolls in his arms, jumping and jumping, his face flushed red. He wished he could jump on the screen, replace the big needlebee, and compete with Baizi. Damn. On the other side, hearing the commentary from the broadcast and the cheers resounding throughout the city, Xiaohao in an alley looked gloomy. Not far from him, an arbor snake snaked its body, constantly spitting out letters, staring at him and the shivering little Rada in front of him with vigilance. What are you doing? Don't go up and entangle it. PFF tilde. Xiaohao's vicious reprimand sounded, and although little Rada was still afraid, he still resisted and faced one of his natural enemies. Just right tilde. Abersnake was naturally not to be outdone, and immediately, the 2 elves were entangled together. Little Rada was clearly at a disadvantage, and was soon bitten with scars. Quote ellipsis 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 ellipsis. Great opportunity. Xiaohao completely turned a blind eye to this, stared silently for a moment, suddenly his eyes lit up, and straightened his right arm to the direction of Abersnake. Next second. The sound of pulling the trigger sounded, and a special ball shot out like a bullet, hitting the unsuspecting Abersnake directly. The light flashed, and Abersnake was immediately incorporated into the Pokeball. P.S. The flower leaf pedicle washes the eyes tilde a few. Chapter 204. Residue. For full order. A little bit of the auxiliary receiver on the cochlea, above Xiaohao's pupil, suddenly revealed the picture of the integrator on Central Street. First place. Baizi, 6,191 points. 7,215 points. 8,227 points. Second place. Taichi Yagami, 597 points. Third place. Mimura Hao, 784 points. Open black lens bracket number 4, little crazy. Close black lens bracket. Damn. Looking at the ranking on the integrator, Xiaohao couldn't help but curse. Although relying on a series of electronic equipment such as power shoes and contact lenses, he surpassed the second place in the number of elves that he captured, and was only 1 away from the first place Baizi. But the elf strength provided by the competition is really bad. Let him only go around to pick some weak elves to conquer. So. This also led to the fact that although the number of elves he conquered was quite large, it was still difficult to catch up with Baizi in terms of 387. Even the second place has pulled him away by more than 10 points. It's not that he doesn't want to choose a powerful one. At the beginning, what he took a fancy to was the Bangira in the arena. But when he made this point, he was rejected. Even if he skillfully moved out of Xiaoqin's father Dr. Sakuragi again, the other party was still reluctant to let go, and only allowed him to pick one of the novice-level elves. The entanglement is in a hurry. The person in charge almost didn't directly cancel his qualifications. Therefore, he had to endure the humiliation, and chose a wizard from the novice area. And this elf is the little Radha in front of him. Because of this, even though he quickly determined the distribution points of elves on the field by relying on various equipment, the weak strength of little Radha made his choices rare. Powerful elves, those high-scoring gymnasiums, and even the quasi-King Bangira, he didn't even dare to touch them. Because there is no little Radha's entanglement, he has no chance to concede the ball at all. I don't even dare to stop the opponent. What if the opponent attacks me if I don't succeed? Elf madness is small. If he was injured because of this, it would be incredible. There's no other way. Only use this. Xiaohao touched the micro-anesthesia device on his wrist, and his eyes flickered. By now, you can only use anesthesia machine to anesthetize those powerful elves, and then take the opportunity to subdue them. Although it's easy to expose, but in order to win, you can't care so much. Okay, you guy, hurry up and follow. Xiaohao pressed the receiver in the cochlea again, and while greeting the injured little Radha, he inquired about the distribution of nearby elves. He was going to find an elite elf to try the anesthesia device in his hand. Then increase the level layer by layer. In this way, with the information on the distribution of elves, he believes that he will be able to surpass everyone and win the championship in this competition. By the time, I'd rather see that guy's face. His stage. This is clearly my Xiaohao's stage. Xiaohao was thinking in his heart. But the slightly distorted smile on his face has only just risen. Boom, 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 boom. Accompanied by the sound of heavy footsteps, a large dinosaur-like elf wearing green armor and standing on both feet walked slowly. Several spikes of different sizes protrude from the back of the head, neck and shoulders, and there is also a circle of smaller spikes at the end of the tail, which looks very hideous. It has a pair of fangs on its upper and lower jaws, and 3 claws on its hands and feet. The shoulder blades and legs each have 2 triangular holes, and the lower abdomen and back are diamond-shaped, revealing a blue stomach. This elf is exactly one of the quasi-god elf known as the Desert Tyrant, and famous in Chengdu. Bangira. Xiaohao called out the name of the elf in front of him a little dryly. Although he knew that this was not a wild elf, but the moment of tyrannical pupils towards Gobangira. It's almost like a conditioned reflex. Xiaohao raised his arm. Swish swish swish. The anesthesia device that he was going to use carefully was like a machine gun in his hand, and countless anesthesia needles the size of a cow's hair shot towards Bangira like a goddess scattered flowers. A series of crisp sounds of ding-lings clatter. Most of the needles were directly blocked by Bangira's thick armor. But I don't know if it's Xiaohao's luck or Bangira's bad luck. Such a big puff of anesthesia needles. But there was just one stab that stabbed Bangira's exposed left eye socket. Class. This level of anesthesia is obviously not enough to make a quasi-celestial King Bangira lose consciousness, but the tingling sensation caused by anesthesia needles and medicine makes Bangira almost mad. The hands that are not very dexterous are painfully pulling the armor on the face 0. With the shape of Bangira's claws, it is obviously impossible to take out the foreign object that pierced the corner of the eye. Bangira slammed his head into the column next to him. Even without the use of skills, the majestic force brought by the quasi-god's powerful and explosive physique not only caused the metal column to be broken like a pie. Even the ground carrying the pillars and a group of walls behind the pillars were like tofu scum, and collapsed under the unconscious ravages of the desert tyrant. But this obviously did not ease Bangira's pain. Roar. Bangira howled in the sky, the sound waves shook the air, and then, the ground began to sand, and the invisible air swirled up, and the sand was flying wildly in the sky, with a face that was extremely fierce, a single-eyed glaring, with a scarlet face. killing intent emerged in the dust. The heavy sense of oppression made Xiao Hao, the initiator, unable to help but feel timid. No, you have to run quickly. If you stay here, you will definitely die. Anyway, there will be staff to deal with it anyway. I just accidentally angered the participating elves, and it is their job to deal with these funerals. The trembling, panic-stricken Xiao Hao muttered the words of shirk in his mouth. He simply ignored the little Radha who was unable to move under the pressure of Bagheera. Steps back, after pulling the distance little by little. It is necessary to use the bouncing power of the power shoes to run directly. And right now. Scrap. Accompanied by a scolding, a figure stopped in front of him, and his disgusted and contemptuous eyes swept across Xiao Hao's body. Then, his eyes narrowed, and he looked at the violent beast that was rushing towards 1.7. Fire-breathing dragon. Drank awe-inspiringly. Followed. The orange-red dragon shadow suddenly passed over the head of the spiky-headed boy wearing goggles. He faced the furious desert tyrant without fear. Bang! The four claws intertwined, and the turbulent airflow suddenly surged towards all directions. But unfortunately, the strength of this fire-breathing dragon is obviously inferior to that of Bagheera. P.S. Just a tribute to youth, Xiaoji won the championship, and the 8 gods were complete, which are the 2 major regrets of childhood. Chapter 205, The End of the Game, the Sudden 7th Destiny Reward. For full order. Xiao Hao's face turned blue, but he saw the evil elements and sandstorms emerging around Bagheera's body, and in the end he didn't say a word, turned around and ran out of the alley. Exactly, taking advantage of the chaos caused by Bagheera. No one is paying attention, I can still conquer a few more elves. This anesthesia needle seems to be very useful. With just a turn of his head, Xiao Hao put the fact that the riot was entirely caused by him. Moreover, instead of being ashamed, he was proud, and sighed at the ease of use of anesthesia needles. It can be said that it is shameless and very high. And at the same time. The other side. Big needle B, double needle. Shoot through a special ball one by one, and the big needle B pulled it directly in front of him, and Bai Zi frowned slightly in the fast-swimming frog with his eyes drawn in circles. Turning his head, he looked towards the side not far away. With the faint sound of an explosion, thick smoke and dust suddenly rose. Among them are red flowing flames and flying sand rising. It caught Bai Zi's eyes. This is. The mental power swept away, and Bai Zi's eyebrows and eyes jumped when he determined the scene of the change. Big Stinger B. He greeted the big stinger, picked up the poke ball, and immediately rushed towards O2 in the direction of the smoke. With Bai Zi's skill, coupled with the emergency, he did not hesitate to use his mind to assist, and soon, he and the big needle bee rushed to a devastated alley where the incident occurred. Just as he approached, Bai Zi heard an anxious cry. Fire-breathing dragon. Then, Bai Zi saw that a young man with a spiky head was clinging to the back of the fire-breathing dragon, and flew out of the alley like a cannonball. Bai Zi stretched out his hand, and the burning white thought force suddenly emerged, blocking this person out of thin air. After waving to the side, mind power dissipated. Bai Zi spread his 5 fingers and aimed at the attacked Bagheera, and the purifying power of Bai Zi's power in his body to soothe the mind poured out, covering it towards the violent beast. Bagheera's consciousness was awake for a moment, and the warm power continued to soothe its mind, making it awake again, and the anger and tyranny were constantly being healed. But the next moment, an unconscious blink, the severe pain suddenly stimulated Bagheera's nerves again. Classes. Quote. In the violent roar, Bagheera, who was tortured by severe pain, opened his huge mouth in the constant wailing. A mass of swirling dark energy suddenly rose up, turned into a jet-black beam of light, and rushed straight towards Bai Zi's direction. The wave of evil, really. Bai Zi held his forehead helplessly, stretched out his hand and waved, and the invisible power of thought suddenly pulled the person who had just stood up beside him behind him. Big Stinger B, just be a little bit more. Gauntlets. Cross scissors. Beard tilde. The large needlebee immediately fluttered its wings, and a splendid purple energy armor was formed around it. The double needles overlapped and turned into a shield. Bang! The turbulent beam of light immediately impacted on the energy arm shield. The giant needlebee waves attacked the immobile reefs, and even went upstream, pushing Bagheera's evil wave all the way forward. Then, the translucent green cross slashes smashed the evil waves directly, like two long knives slashing down, hitting Bagheera's chest heavily. The sound of gold and iron clashing sounded. With a string of sparks, Bagheera suddenly flew out with a muffled groan and hit the wall at the end of the alley. The wall collapsed suddenly, and Bagheera, whose chest armor was directly cut with an X-shaped crack, could not get up for a while after letting out a faint wailing. Your Hornbee defeated Bagheera, and gained a little, combat experience value +5, Hornbee experience +1, Gauntlet proficiency +1, Cross Scissors proficiency +1, thank you. My name is Tai, this is my pal Charizard. At this time, the spiky-haired boy wearing goggles stepped forward, bowed gratefully to Bai Zi, and introduced himself. Roar Tilda. Beside him, a fire-breathing dragon with a muscular knot and a posture slightly different from the general kin also roared friendly at Bai Zi. You're welcome. Bai Zi chuckled lightly, and then probed the fire-breathing dragon with great interest. As predicted, the results of the investigation did not exceed his expectations one by one. Fire-breathing dragon, half-back to ancient Asian Tyrannosaurus form, Gym Peak, level 49, 99/100ths, exclusive skill. Gaia Flame, sure enough, is it an alienated elves? The gleam that no one could see in Bai Zi's eyes flickered. For some reason, he had a good impression of this very responsible trainer. Therefore, I couldn't help but remind me. I will solve the matter of Bagheera. Time is running out, you should continue to subdue the elves. Thank you for your reminder, but no need. Tai shook his head. He glanced at the giant needlebee standing quietly in the void beside Bai Zi, and pushed the goggles on his forehead. With a free and easy expression. This game is in my heart, the outcome is already divided, there is no need to continue, and the fire-breathing dragon and I need to become stronger. Roar Tilda. The fire-breathing dragon also spit out a flame of fire, apparently full of energy. Ha ha, do you think so too, fire-breathing dragon? Tai suddenly laughed. The fire-breathing dragon also nodded. Subsequently, he walked in front of Bai Zi, stretched out his right fist, and raised it flat. Next time we meet, wait until I become stronger and have a real fight with me. Of course, no problem. Bai Zi responded with a chuckle, and also raised his fist to touch the trainer named Tai in front of him. Looking at the back of the other party turning and leaving neatly, Bai Zi's mouth unconsciously raised a smile, and then he withdrew his gaze, got up and came to Bagheera. Woo Tilda. Okay, it's okay, I'll take it out for you right away Tilda. Listening to the big guy who was sobbing and whimpering in front of him, Bai Zi shook his head amusingly. Then, a white light flashed in his eyes. With a puff, a tiny paralysis needle with traces of blood was immediately ingested and thrown on the ground at will. Bai Zi didn't need this evidence. Because he is very clear. With Xiaohao's unscrupulous approach, it is impossible for the official personnel who held the event in Fenglai City to be unaware. Not to mention, this is a live event celebration in the city. I am afraid that this guy is already famous in the city. A smile rose on Bai Zi's face. After clearing the paralysis potion left in the corner of Bagheera's eyes, and simply 387 dealing with the big guy's not serious trauma, Bai Zi took out a special ball and put away the unresisting Bagheera. Only then did he set off again and headed to the location of the next competition elf. Time passed slowly. Soon. Dusk is approaching. And the game has completely entered the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Compare race finish. Close black lens bracket. BU_. The whistle sounded throughout the city on the broadcasts all over the city. At the same time. Therefore, the player's special ball is also automatically blocked, and can no longer be captured by the elves. And at the same time. West of the city. Beside the garden fountain, by Z, who had just put a unicorn into the ear of a special ball. The familiar mechanical sound suddenly sounded. You have successfully defeated Mimura How. You have gained a little, battle experience +20, strength +2, big needle B level +1. Ding! Defeat the Son of Destiny, get the reward for working hard. Experience synchronization card, 24 hours. Because of the interference of the inexplicable power of the universe, you have obtained additional rewards. Special setting card, exclusive to Guhao, luck loot card, exclusive to Guhao. P.S. Guess what? Guhao's fate tilde. Chapter 206. The Creator's Authority. Guhao's new, human, life. For full order. Sure enough. Baizi's expression wasn't too surprising, because it was what he expected. And with the sound of the system beep. Ohm, the substantial energy surging from the whole body of the big needle bee, the breath surging, the big needle bee's demeanor is stable, and soon the energy fluctuation caused by the promotion to the Heavenly King level has been stopped. All the visions dissipated, but the energy level of the giant needle bee with its eyes closed was still rising. The surrounding insect-type factors also did not appear to be spilling out at all. On the contrary. In Baizi's perception, the body of the giant stinger is like a bottomless pit, madly absorbing the insect-type factors from the outside world, as well as some of the poison-type factors that are also ingested. This is it. This kind of change made Baizi's eyes suddenly light up. Because this kind of change is not the first time I have seen it. After the previous Zoroha battle with Xiaohuang's Pikachu, he took advantage of the optimized state of the destiny reward and improved his level again. And now. The big stinger was obviously going to repeat Zoroa's operation. Compared to Soraya's initial success. This time, the giant stinger not only caused more movement, but also lasted for more than 10 minutes. Torrent property factor. It gradually recovered completely. Your big stinger took the opportunity to break through, gain a little, state optimization, level +2, comprehend insect-related skills, stalker, comprehend poison-related skills, highly poisonous. Race, big needle bee, original form of metal flash, permanent mega. Attribute, insect poison. Characteristics, adaptability, mind-eye exclusive characteristics, predicting the opponent's actions, and the ability to avoid danger to break the situation. Level, Beginner King of Heaven, level 62, 75 100ths. Potential, level 3 God, transformation completed. HP, 65, attack, 166 150 defense, 40, special attack, 15, special defense, 92 80 speed, 172 145. Exclusive skills. Gauntlets can greatly enhance the defense and attack of double needles. Extinction needles, dedicated all-out killing blow, can cause 2/3 5 times the damage, and has a certain chance to cause a blow, must-kill effect. Open black lens bracket skill, slightly. Close black lens bracket. Genetic skill, rapid return. Prop, focus mirror. Open black lens bracket status, perfect close black lens bracket. Law comprehension, insect 1.5%. Open black lens bracket introduction, slightly. Close black lens bracket. Have you been promoted to the King of Heaven? R. The corner of Baizi's mouth raised a smile. This is the first elf in his hand to be promoted to the Heavenly King. The wind speed dog itself is the Heavenly King, and it is only 25 points of experience points away from the Heavenly King Intermediate. The experience value of winning a battle of the same level is almost between 8 and 12. It only takes 3 battles of the first level kings, and the big needle bee can officially enter the middle level of the kings. Check out the new stats panel for the stingy bee. Mind a move. Baizi finally turned his attention to his 7th destiny reward. Speaking of which, Guhao's destiny rewards are quite numerous. In addition to the experience synchronization card, 2 additional, special setting cards, and luck plundering cards, are marked with Guhao. Exclusive, special rewards. 3 in total. Baizi is very interested in the use of these 3 rewards. Experience synchronization card, 24 hours, immediately bind a handheld elf. Within 24 hours, the experience value obtained by the elf will be synchronized to all handheld spirits on the body. Good guy, isn't this the experience sharing in the game? Baizi's eyes suddenly lit up. If he was lucky enough to be bound to the iron dumbbells that are in the rising stage of novice, and the opponents of the same level or slightly higher are still very easy to find, wouldn't it take off? Good guy. This destiny reward has never disappointed me once. Baizi was happy. For the time being, he suppressed the idea of using the card immediately and went to the forest to gain experience, and turned his attention to the other 2 cards. Good guy. After seeing the functions of these 2 cards, Baizi's expression suddenly became a little weird. Special setting card, exclusive to Guhao. The living body can be re-edited and set, including but not limited to race, gender, level, appearance, characteristics, etc. Once used, it cannot be changed. Airluck plunder card, exclusive to Guhao. You can plunder all the airluck values of the living body and bless yourself to form a strong luck. Note: both cards can be used by moving thoughts, unlimited distance, unlimited time and space. Needless to say about the luck loot card. This stuff is easy to understand. The only thing I'm not sure about is what the effect of this, strong luck, is. If it is in the same state as the lucky buff brushed on Xiaoji, then send it. But, although things are good things, Baizi's focus is another reward. Special setting card. This thing is actually quite precious. 1 completely violated the authority of the creator. If it is not marked by the system, this thing is an exclusive item that must be used by Guhao. Baizi was really reluctant to use it on Guhao. Think about it. It can redefine and edit all the values of race, level, characteristics, etc. of life. This thing, it is not a problem for him to create an Arceus out of thin air. It is really a waste to use it on Guhao. But, now that it's over, he doesn't feel bad. Not to mention, the ability of this thing also made him think of a rather interesting operation. Hey tilde. Baizi's expression suddenly turned evil. System, use the luck loot card, and then, expand the secondary page of the special Good Money Jiao setting card for me. On the way to the main venue of Zongyang Street, Baizi focused on the virtual frame in front of him while walking normally without any discoloration. Open black lens bracket race, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket gender, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket appearance, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket ability, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket features, close black lens bracket. It's time to show off your skills. Guhao, watch me set up a new and beautiful, human, life for you. Islet. P.S. This wave is definitely a dog without misery, the only one in the entire network. Chapter 207. Xiaohao, you, don't come here. For full order. Strong luck. It can bring miraculous help when you desperately want to accomplish something. Note: the degree of completion depends on the difficulty of the event, please choose carefully. Another ambiguous bonus. Baizi shook his head helplessly. However, one after another, he is almost used to it. Let's keep it, maybe it will be useful one day. Thoughtful. Baizi focused his attention on the secondary page of the special setting card, again. First of all, there is the race column. Next, Baizi started his editing and setting of Xiaohao's new life. Not to mention, this kind of authority similar to the creator, in the performance of the system, makes him feel like playing a modular game. After careful planning, Baizi carefully checked and filled the gaps. Finally, Xiaohao's new life. No, it should be said that the panel of the mouse will be generated one by one. Race, Xiaolada, Xiaohao Special Edition cannot evolve. Open black lens bracket gender, female close black lens bracket. Attribute, general. Characteristic, tenacity exclusive feature, has tenacious vitality, it is difficult to die in situations other than natural death. Level, beginner level, level 6, 0/100th level is permanent, cannot be increased or decreased. Potential, none. 387 HP, 200, attack, 5, defense, 20, special attack, 5, special defense, 20, speed, 5. Skills, none, unable to learn any skills. Status, weak, naturally delicate. Introduction, this is a charming female little Lotta, exuding the peculiar charm that makes the same clan madly infatuated all the time. It can be called a weakened version of Fujong of the little Lotta group, and cannot be understood by any living being's own reality. Good tilde. Baizi nodded with satisfaction. After reading it, he thought about it, and put it at the end of the introduction column. Added the words, sensitive constitution. Subsequently, between the thoughts, the system suddenly reacted. Editing has been completed, there will be no existence detection in this life change. May I ask the host, whether to use the special setting card immediately? Open black lens bracket yes, no close black lens bracket. Yes. Baizi answered without the slightest hesitation. In an instant. In the void, only the waves that he vaguely perceives are generated. Baizi suddenly stopped, touched his chin, and said, speaking of which, it's a pity that such a miracle of transforming from a human into an elf cannot be witnessed with his own eyes. But just sighed and shook his head. Immediately after, he suddenly remembered the situation Go How might face in the future, and suddenly shuddered. Forget it, it's better not to look at it, it must be irritating. Just as I was thinking about it, I suddenly heard the cheering cry of Lily, the little guy, big brother tilde. Looked up. A cute little girl with a purple pineapple head holds 2 dolls in her arms. Fluttering short legs. He stumbled and ran towards himself. Baizi hurried to meet him, picked up the little guy, leaned against Lily's neck, took a deep breath, and the little guy suddenly giggled and laughed, quickly purifying Baizi's cold heart. At the same time, on the other side, Xiao Hao, who was standing in a deserted street, looked at the score ranking displayed in front of the pupil membrane. The complexion is very ugly. Even if he used all kinds of off-board tricks. But in the end, his score was still nearly half that of Baizi, who was in first place. Damn. Xiao Hao kicked the alloy fence next to him incompetently and furiously. But luckily, accompanied by an inexplicable sense of detachment, the kick he should have kicked on the pillar of the alloy fence suddenly deviates. He wiped the post and kicked it into the air in the corner of the fence. With this kick, Xiao Hao, whose balance was broken, raised his head and fell to the rear. But because the right ankle was stuck in the corner of the fence, only heard a click sound. Ah! With the tragic cry of Xiao Hao slaughtering a pig, his stuck right ankle was directly broken by the falling force of the fall. Xiao Hao howled miserably and rolled on the ground. The pokeballs were scattered all over the place. But in the process of tumbling, he either caught a raised stone, ACBH, on his shoulders, or his hair was caught by something. Even accidentally knocked his head on a tree. Immediately. Brains buzzing. For a while, some can't slow down. But then, an inexplicable force suddenly descended on Xiao Hao, who did not dare to act rashly for the time being. Itching suddenly spread all over the body. It seemed like something was about to come out from under the skin. Boom, boom, boom. The heart rang more and more violently like a twilight drum and a morning bell. And with this, it was a sudden sensation of dryness. Then, he felt as if there were countless earthworms crawling under his skin. All over the body, pain, itching, numbness, heat, crispness. All kinds of strange sensations almost indiscriminately flooded into my heart. Xiao Hao now was initially distorted, and the body with some mouse-like features was bent like a boiled prawn. Both eyes glared. Full of red. In my throat, I can only make a suffocating, hee sound. Soon, his body began to shrink, his purple fur grew, his face began to elongate, and the characteristic features of his beard and front teeth gradually evolved. The feeling that was almost like life was worse than death finally receded like a tide. And under the trees, among the clothes, shoes and hats scattered all over the place. Bulky. Between the tremors. A petite little Radha emerged from the brown sweater, with a slightly shorter beard showing the other party's female identity. This little Lada is Xiaohao. PFF'd. What's wrong with me? Xiaohao, who turned into a little Radha, felt a little confused and felt a different touch, but when he raised his head, he was suddenly startled. PFF'd. Puff Lada. Lada Lada. Okay, so tall trees. Houses are so tall. No, me, I'm getting smaller. And my voice. Wait, my hands, how did my hands become like this? Xiaohao was taken aback by the surrounding environment, but after confirming his own changes, he was even more dumbfounded. I became a little Radha. And right now. PFF'd tilde. Accompanied by bursts of rodents and shouts, a little Radha appeared in the corner of the alley with scars all over his body. It looks around. Soon. His eyes fell on himself. Immediately afterwards, Xiaohao keenly discovered that this was probably the look of the little Radha that he had borrowed and abandoned before, and it had changed. Subconsciously, Xiaohao made an instinctive, Jiao, shout, squeak, puff, puff da Lada. You, what are you doing? Don't come here. P.S. Picture, the beautiful little Lada. How tilde. Chapter 208. When everyone is watching, the electric cat debuts. For full order. Xiaohao guessed right, the little Radha in front of him was indeed the one he temporarily borrowed before. Although he was not treated well by Xiaohao. But in the end, it dragged its wounds all the way here, following the smell. However, at this time, it had already left Xiaohao, a temporary human companion, behind it. Because, it has met true love. How beautiful is this little female Radha in front of me. That delicate figure. Light fur. And that sexy beard and soft eyes, God. PFF'd, little Radha's nostrils suddenly burst into two groups of steam like a train whistle. Xiaohao's appearance completely pierced its aesthetics, and the peculiar charm that almost reached the level of charm also made the name in little Radha's mind. The string for reason is completely broken. Little Radha jumped up. And then. Squeak, puff, puff, puff tilde. Little Radha, excited. JPG. PFF'd. Xiaohao, panic. JPG. Puff, puff tilde. Little Radha, more excited. JPG. PFF'd. Xiaohao, roars. JPG. PFF'd. PFFT tilde tilde tilde. Little Radha gasps. JPG. Squeak. Feeling the pressure and the stinging pain behind him, Xiaohao lay desperately on the ground under the tree, two lines of clear tears slowly flowing down. Inexplicable. It seemed like a mellow voice flowed out, it's the season of revival of all things again. Soon. Two people were wearing orange jackets, and the vests were printed with a golden Pokeball-themed imprint, and two staff members from Fenglai City arrived here. This is where the last information is located. One of the staff compared the circular radar locator in the palm of his hand, then looked up and looked around, looking at the discarded clothing, props in the fairway, but it seems that the player named Xiaohao, I am afraid, has escaped. Another staff member nodded solemnly, and after counting, he was slightly relieved. Fortunately, the elves in the special ball have not been lost, and all the illegal props he used in the game were all lost. Discarded here. That's good. When the time comes, give these things to Miss Junsha, and he will be found sooner than later. Yes, the minimum is to revoke the trainer qualification. The second staff member replied with a look of disgust. He cheated on the most important Feng Festival competition in Fenglai City, and also used anesthesia needles to attack the competition elves. I don't know where this guy is. I taught him. If it wasn't for the handsome silver-haired boy with sunglasses, I'm afraid the Mad Bangira would make a big mess. The next time I meet this kid, I have to punch him. Said, with a look of righteousness on his face. All right. The first staff member reassured. Carl, Miss Juncha will handle these. Let's clean up quickly, there is a little Lotta to look for. That's right. The staff member named Carl nodded with a worried expression. That little Rada is not too badly injured. Kent, we should go to find it as soon as possible, and then send it to Dr. Torito. Right. Why, already? Hearing his companion's tone of voice was a little strange, another staff member named Kent quickly asked. Maybe, we don't need to look for that little Rada. What do you mean? Kent, where are you looking? Kent looked at his companion's fingers with a confused look. I see. Behind the tree that was less than a few meters away from them, the two little Radas stacked on top of each other were shaking constantly. The slightly bigger little Lotta, covered in scars, is not the little Lotta they used for that guy on secondment before. Good guy, we are working so hard to find someone, but this kid will be happy and has found a girlfriend. Kent suddenly laughed. Okay, since that's the case, let's not disturb others. Carl stretched out his hand and dragged his companion. The two deliberately left some food and oral wound medicine in the open space not far away. Subsequently, he turned around and left with a smile. Without the existence of Xiao Hao, the scumbag, the Pokemon conquering contest held in Fenglai City finally came to an end. The competition is over, and the next is the grand awards ceremony. As well as celebration party after the game. After singing and dancing for a long time, the next morning, Bai Zi, who was invited to be the last Hand of the Wind festival, was dressed in a formal suit, and temporarily took off his sunglasses, revealing his dazzling eyes. Facing the new morning sun. The breeze blew, causing Bai Zi's scattered silver-white hair to flutter in the wind. The light of the early morning shone on Bai Zi's handsome face. Zero. Ask for flowers. The eyes that were reflected were extremely bright at this moment. Like a sapphire wrapped in layers of clouds and light. The unrestrained temperament and Bai Zi's slender and upright posture are as if they were drawn and carved, and they seem so unreal. And in this moment, when to the city, countless women who saw this scene in front of the screen couldn't help but tremble in their hearts, and had an inexplicable goodwill towards Bai Zi. This is a longing and yearning for a beautiful instinct. As the sun gradually climbs, Shirasawa, who received the last blow, also climbed the tower dedicated to Lugia. In accordance with what Shi Chong explained. Insert the spar scepter in your hand into the high platform, push it inward hard, and with a click, the spar scepter immediately lights up the spire of the large scepter outside the tower. Gentle but majestic energy suddenly lit up from the top of the tower. It turned into a huge green beam of light. Into the sky. Wow Laula, in the artificial island below, the crowded auditorium and the urban area not far away, wave-like cheers and applause came faintly. And at this very moment of attention, accompanied by the whistling sound of breaking through the air, a golden figure wrapped in azure electric light flew towards him. Gently, it landed on the high platform, not far from Bai Zi. The air was quiet at first. Followed. The noisy discussion sounded up and down immediately. Zeraora. Without the slightest concealment, Bai Zi's clear voice spread throughout the island and the whole city through the microphone. He looked at the handsome big cat in front of him. Slowly raised the corners of his mouth. Loudly, he issued a battle declaration as a trainer. Since you choose to appear in front of me, then you will not refuse my challenge, Zeraora, I will conquer you. Come on, Zoroark. Ow tilde. Zeraora's mouth curled into an imperceptible smile. When meeting Zoroark's ruby-like eyes, a ray of fighting intent suddenly rose up. The thorns spread out one by one. Next second, two figures, one yellow and one gray, disappeared at the same time, accompanied by the black mist of electric light, and collided violently in midair. Several. Chapter 209, Between the Cliffs. Please order. Between the Cliffs. This is a complex and comprehensive area located in the middle of the Chengdu hunting zone and Fenglai City, with Zonlin City in the east. In the meantime, there are cliffs and coastlines with large height differences, and there are two waterfalls along the way. More hills and barren mountains. Although the water channels are rich, the paths are mysterious, are hidden in the mountains, or the cliffs burst, or the dark rivers surging. Therefore, the coverage rate of forest trees is extremely low, and there are only a handful of small forests that can make up 100. Except for the natural cliff caves that are excavated by rocks or ground spirits and can be connected to roads 47 and 48 near the hunting area. It is only halfway up the mountain to the southeast. It was built by some unknown person and connected to a waterfall suspension bridge in Zonlin City. But either way, it's pretty hard to walk. The waterfall suspension bridge is full of broken walls. In the end, it is still necessary to pass a very steep and rugged mountain road to barely get through. The cliffs and caves that extend in all directions are full of various forks and dead ends. The rich and peculiar ore vein magnetic field inside them makes today's high-precision instruments completely useless. Two people entered. It was no different from breaking into a large maze. Even the top of the mountain is full of various strong magnetic fields. Not to mention planes, even some not-so-powerful bird spirits may be directly lost in this forest because of the disordered magnetic field. Simply say, it's an alternative version of, birds can't cross. However, this is not a place where human beings are completely confined. A trainer who is strong enough, relying on some road-riding elves to directly cross the mountains, still has the ability to explore and get through here. But except for a very small number of training madmen, or trainers who specialize in rock and ground, there are generally very few people involved here. Even if the mineral resources here want to be rich. But both the Alliance and the large mineral groups can only stay away from it and cannot exploit it. It's not that they can't hire a strong trainer to escort them, but it's hard to hire a strong trainer who is willing to stay here for a long time to accompany the mining team. Ability to climb over cliffs. Even if it is not a Heavenly King level trainer, I am afraid that it is at least a trainer who has reached the level of a quasi-celestial king. Such a trainer. There are so many ways to make money easily. Fools are willing to stay in this place where birds don't shit for a long time. Therefore, this place is somewhat similar to the depths of the Silver Mountains with countless overlords, and it is quite suitable as a place for meditation to avoid interruptions. At this time, in a foggy stone mountain, a slender young man with small round sunglasses and gleaming silver-white hair was jumping agilely, and with the help of the falling rocks, he flew forward as if walking on the ground. In a short while, he was far away from the small stone mountain that collapsed nearly halfway. After that, accompanied by a blue electric light falling from the sky, a handsome big cat in the shape of an adult with golden hair and some blue or black patterns similar to lightning landed on his body. Beside, nearly a week has passed since the end of the Wind Festival. Above the Wind Festival, the battle of subjugation at the altar was enough to attract attention. In particular, what Baizi subdued was the elf in the legend of Fenglai City, Zeraora. It can be said. After this battle, Baizi, who was already famous in Fenglai City, can be said to have become a household name in Fenglai City. Not only that, the discovery of new types of elves, especially the legendary and handsome elves like Zeraora, caused an uproar in the entire elves network. The intention is to pick up the leak, not to mention the guy who wants to exchange the elves. Just after the Wind Festival, almost all the trainers who wanted to challenge Baizi could be lined up from the front of the city to the end of the city. At first, Baizi refused to come. After all, Baizi, the scoring tool who came to the door, was obviously welcome. But these trainers are too mixed. They play hundreds of games a day, but they can't meet a trainer above the elite level for 2 or 3 days. At the beginning, these tool people can also help Baizi's iron dumbbells to level up. But after the iron dumbbells officially broke through the elite level, there is no need to accumulate experience for the time being. Instead, it's time to replenish mineral metals, make up the foundation, and accumulate potential. Baizi doesn't want to pull the seedlings to encourage growth, and let his iron dumbbells evolve without sufficient potential to be tapped. Except for iron dumbbells. The remaining main battle elves and those naive chickens are big, and they can't get a few points of experience in a day, which is a complete waste of time. Coupled with the experience synchronization card, the elf bound by coincidence is Zeraora. Simply. Baizi bid farewell to the reluctant mother and daughter Lily, took Nazi, quietly left Fenglai City on a dark and windy night for a month, and went to this uninhabited place to do sneak practice. The reason why I didn't choose the leveling location I selected at the beginning, the mountain forest in Fenglai City. It was unbearable at first. 387 is also afraid that the trainers who are crazy about fighting will destroy the tranquility of the mountains and forests. This is the second time. The elves in the mountain forest in Fenglai City are too weak, and most of them are familiar with Zeraora, so it is difficult to achieve the training effect and also difficult to shoot. Therefore, after a simple search and selection, Baizi finally chose the squatting site between the cliffs north of Fenglai City. The complex and changeable landforms can play a good role in assisting exercise, helping Baizi take advantage of the environment to correct and change some bad habits of Zeraora as a wild elf. The combination of rich minerals and untouched vast areas can definitely give birth to countless powerful elves of rocks and ground. And now, as the first opponent of Zeraora after activating the Experience Synchronization card, it is a giant rock snake that is nearly 10 meters long and whose level is infinitely close to that of the quasi-celestial king. Chapter 210. Breaking the Face with Points. For full order. Race, Big Rock Snake. Attribute, Ground, Rock. Open black lens bracket. Characteristics, Strong close black lens bracket. Level, Gym Peak level 49, 99 100ths. Potential, Gym. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. A big rock snake with dual earth, rock attributes and strong characteristics, reaching the peak of the gym. To be frank, this is an overwhelming disadvantage for Zeraora, who is a pure electric system. Not to mention the level difference is 7 levels, the big rock snake with ground attributes is completely immune to Zeraora's strongest electric system. Skill. The Plasma Lightning Punch, which is an exclusive trick, is useless. The only fighting skills that can cause excellent damage are all physical attacks. To know. The highest value of the big rock snake is the material defense racial value, which has a full material defense of 160. Coupled with the strong characteristics of quite anti-beating, and level suppression. It can be said. In addition to relying on speed to make the opponent unable to hit him, it is basically difficult for Zeraora to effectively cause enough damage to the opponent. However, this is not absolute. Aang. At this time, this huge rock snake that was obviously not worried about eating and drinking, and the well-developed huge rock snake hissed up to the sky, and the eyes the size of copper bells were full of angry flames. No wonder it was burning with rage. To know. It was an older single snake who finally found a blind sister of the same race. Today, it happily invites each other to come to its own mountain and taste the high-quality ore that it has spent a long time digging for. But they happen to meet Baizi's group who were passing through this place. And it's on that hard-earned geocentric mine. A silver-white little dot was lying on top of it and feasting on it, and in the blink of an eye, its geocentric ore was shrunk several times. Think here. The big rock snake was even more angry. Slippery, this anger seems to have also enhanced its fighting intelligence. As the body swings, with the help of the rapid propulsion generated by the skills, it rushes straight down the hillside, and then twists the huge body. By centrifugal force. Turn your body into a whip. The giant rock tail shining with metallic color is like a long whip that drives the mountain, whipping away towards the direction of Baizi and Zeraora. Dangerous clash plus iron tail. A good combination trick. Baizi's eyes are full of admiration. And then, with a loud bang, the place where the steel tail passed was instantly shattered. The rocks splashed up. Diffuse smoke temporarily enveloped this small area. In addition to its own advantages in size and weight, the powerful iron tail whip of this big rock snake, which is transformed by the potential energy brought by the collision of its own life, is also one of the reasons for the terrifying destructive power that this quasi-celestial king can possess. Have to say. Although wild. But if the fighting power of the big rock snake in front of him is not far from the level, it is afraid that it can completely crush the big rock snake left by Xiaoging in the Nibi Gymnasium. Excellent fighting wisdom. It seems that Zeraora's opponents will not be short of it. Swish, on a rock not far away, Bai Zi, whose figure flashed out of thin air, touched his chin. He muttered to himself with a smile. The fact that the elves in the wild can have such fighting wisdom is equivalent to stating that there must be many opponents who need it to go all out and give birth to fighting wisdom. Bai Zi wasn't worried about Zeraora. This blow is indeed good enough, but he can't even hit himself, let alone Zeraora. And the heart turns back and forth. As the smoke continued to rise and spread, the thorns were accompanied by faint flashes of electric light. Under the cover of mental power, Bai Zi found that Zeraora had already used the spread of smoke to spontaneously use electric light to circle behind the big rock snake. The sturdy and smooth body jumped high, and was quietly suspended in the blind spot of the back of the big rock snake's head under the silent magnetic force. Strengthen the fist. Bai Zi's order followed immediately. A layer of orange rays of light immediately wrapped around Zeraora's fist. Its body was pulled open like a long bow, and under the impetus of the lightning bolt, it fell heavily on the torso of the big rock snake. Bang! The short and dull crash sounded along with it, and it was also accompanied by the slightly painful roar of the big rock snake. A nearly invisible circular fist print appeared on the back of the big rock snake's head. The impact of carrying. It also made the big rock snake involuntarily pounce forward. But that's all. The actual damage received by the big rock snake is not that big. Under the pain, the big rock snake quickly turned its body, and with the help of the body's coiling force, it fell to the ground and twisted. The metal luster reappeared, and another steel tail swept away towards Zeraora behind. This second steel tail is simply better. Such an amazing ability to adapt to emergencies is simply not what a cumbersome giant rock snake can show. Ordinary elves are afraid that they have already been hit. But unfortunately, Zeraora is not only agile enough, but also it can fly. Hey Tilda, I'm going to diss a lot here. Top legends. Super ancient elves, gods of the earth. A bunch of titles just can't fly. Do you think it's miserable? Doghead. JPG close black lens bracket, Al tilde. It can fly and is agile enough. It can almost be said that Zeraora's agile rollover avoided the steel tail of the big rock snake. Then. Go on, boost your punches. Accompanied by Bai Zi's calm pursuit command. The attack had already passed through the previous boosting punch until Zeraora, who had been strengthened, flew up, and another boosted punch flew towards the huge body that the big rock snake couldn't dodge. It smashed precisely on the invisible circular fist mark left before. Bang! It was still a short and dull crashing sound. But this time, the fist marks are nearly an inch deep. Roar! A painful roar came, and the stinging pain and dizziness of the sudden attack made the big rock snake can't help but let out a painful exclamation. At the same time, the body also fell to the ground with a brief loss of controllability, splashing the dust of Mi shoe. Ash! Come on, the lightning flashes. Strengthen the fist. Bai Zi continued to order without moving. He knew very well that the big rock snake only lost his body control for a short time. 2 boosted punches that hurt Ju, good money Jiao, Jia. There are injuries. But definitely not to the point of incapacitating combat. However, no matter how tough the defense is, it will not be able to withstand the continuous blocking of water droplets and stoneware. To break the face, this is Bai Zi's way of dealing with it. As the lightning flashed, Zeraora struck straight down like a sharp arrow, and the more dazzling right fist bowed back. Like a bow and crossbow. He stabbed fiercely on the back of the big rock snake's head. Catchay, the sound of rock breaking, accompanied by the bombardment vibration transmitted like the ground, the huge snake body of the big rock snake suddenly tensed, and the pupil the size of a copper bell lost all its charm at this moment. Eyelet. P.S. Anthropomorphic figure of a single sword scabbard tilde. Chapter 211. over-earning experience synchronization, short-term fetters seeking full order. You commanded Zeraora to defeat the big rock snake, and gained a little, battle experience +8, Zeraola experience +1-2, lightning flash proficiency +1, enhanced fist proficiency +2. Ding! Trigger the experience synchronization card. The number of valid elves for this experience synchronization is 9. Congratulations, Big Needle Bee, Wind Speed Dog, Zoroark, Laplace, Cherulian, Iron Dumbbell, Ibrahimovic, Gili Egg, Machado EXP +1-2. Don't count Little Lugia. Baizi glanced over the system panel, but there was no confusion in his eyes. In the end, Little Lugia was not officially subdued by him. It's just a child that the sea god Lugia entrusted to her to take care of. But Baizi was no longer satisfied with the utility of this experience synchronization card. Because the experience value of its simultaneous increase is exactly what Baizi expected, the kind of promotion method that directly ignores the level difference between individuals and forcibly quantifies the same value. This kind of improvement is really awesome. Especially for high-level elves like Big Needlebee, Wind Speed Dog, and Machado, the promotion of the same position is really too profitable. Large Needlebee, beginning of the King of Heaven, level 62, 75 + 12 100ths. Wind Speed Dog, Champion Intermediate, level 74, 70 + 12 100ths. Machado, level 3 God Intermediate, level 93, 25 + 12 100ths. 387 Open Black Lens Bracket. Close Black Lens Bracket. It won't be long before this, the overall combat power in my hands will be greatly improved. Baizi was instantly full of energy. And right now. Slippery one by one, roar tilde. With the clear sound of the rock rubbing and a slightly cowardly low roar, a slightly smaller big rock snake snaked from the back of the rock. He came to the side of the longer big rock snake and gently moved the other's torso, making a worried sound. Baizi blinked. Feeling the sudden rapid heartbeat of the big rock snake lying on the ground, I couldn't help but laugh a little. This guy will be able to insert needles. He left a few oranges and 2 rock-type energy blocks that he personally made as an apology. Baizi left here quietly with Zeraora. Along the mountain road. Continue to go deeper in the southwest direction. There is a breach in the cliff waterfall. According to the scanning feedback of the superpower, there is a small group of Tyrannosaurus dragons living in it. It should be a family-style Tyrannosaurus group. A total of 6 or 7. The strongest one, the breath is still above the big rock snake that was just knocked down, ACBH, and it feels that almost half of its feet have stepped into the realm of quasi-kings. However, as long as it is not a quasi-king, Zeraora is completely capable of fighting. Not to mention, the water-flying Tyrannosaurus dragon has 4 times weaker electricity and only 79 physical defense. And just approached the water bank of the cliff. Roar. Accompanied by the sound of rushing water and a long chanting like a warning, the next moment, the water waves surged, and a light blue body with a snake-shaped dragon head emerged from the secluded pool not far from the water bank in the elf domain. In the huge mouth that opened like an abyss, the fangs sharp as knives shone with a metallic luster under the sunlight. Tyrannosaurus is an evolution of the Carp King. Compared to the dazed and dazed state of the Carp King period, the evolved Tyrannosaurus is extremely irritable. Even the Carp Kings trained by the trainers will often fail to obey the trainer's instructions after they evolve into the Tyrannosaurus. Individuals will even attack their own trainers. From this, one can imagine how aggressive the wild Tyrannosaurus is. Moreover, it is not only violent and irritable, but also has a strong sense of territory, and will launch the most violent attack on any creature that enters its territory. Therefore, when Baizi went deep into the opponent's territory, he was ready to be suddenly attacked by the opponent. However, the next scene was somewhat beyond his expectations. The violent carp dragon that was originally angry broke out of the water, and after seeing Baizi, the cruel eyes suddenly softened. Not just it. The 6 tyrannosaurs that emerged from the water next, plus the previous one, a 7 Tyrannosaurus, were led by the leader Tyrannosaurus, one of which was obviously 2 or 3 times larger than its peers. Shaky approached in front of Bai Zi. Putting his head close to Bai Zi, he murmured in a very friendly manner. Bai Zi was stunned for a moment. But soon, there was a guess in his heart. This is probably, maybe it is the relationship between the affinity of the ocean and the innate affinity of the water system that is as high as 90% from the blessing of Lugia. Wu tilde. Okay tilde. Looking at these well-behaved big guys in front of him, Bai Zi was dumbfounded for a while. They had to tentatively reach out and rub the cyan trident above their heads, feeling the cool and rough unique touch. Bai Zi fondled a few big guys. After taking out a few more water-based energy cubes and feeding them to the big guys, Bai Zi thought about it for a while, and asked them if he could accompany Zeraora to fight. He simply checked the levels of these tyrannical carp dragons just now. 7 tyrannical carp dragons. In addition to the tyrannical carp dragon leader at the peak of the gym, who is only 1 step away from the quasi-celestial king, there is also a middle-level gym and a beginner-level gym. The remaining 4 tyrannical carp dragons, all of them, were all elite high-level ones. With such a large 21 wave of experience points in front of him, Bai Zi didn't want to give up so easily. And then, this small group of tyrannosaurs also played against Zeraora in a very face-saving round. But it is also because of their familiarity that these tyrannical carp dragons failed to do their best in the battle with Zeraora, and the same is true for Zeraora. In the 7 battles, they all played a little bit constrained. Or, this can't be regarded as a battle at all, it can only be said to be a competition. And maybe that's why. In the end, the experience value Zeraora gained from fighting these few tyrannical dragons was not too high. Take the leader of the tyrannical carp dragon as an example. In terms of strength, it is going to win a lot of the big rock snake before, but after Zeraora had the upper hand and the opponent conceded defeat. Only brushed out 8 experience points. Compared with the 12 points of the larger rock snake, it has been reduced by a third. But, after all, these 7 tyrannical carp dragons also contributed 30 experience points to Zeraora. Not only that. When Bai Zi left some energy cubes and said his farewell, the tyrannical carp dragon leader dived into the water and gave himself a parting gift. A water stone of quite high purity. Sometimes, the bond between elves and humans has always been so pure and beautiful. Bai Zi is not destined to stay for long, but the friendship formed under this short-term bond will always be remembered in his heart. P.S. Anthropomorphic figure of the water arrow turtle tilde. Chapter 212. The Archaeopteryx, the speed of light becomes stronger. For full order. The next day, the scorching sun was coming to an end. In a small basin near the center of the cliffs. Zeraora, give it the final blow with a plasma lightning punch. Ow tilde. On the rock wall, Zeraora, who was attached to the top of a rocky cliff with a very high iron content, suddenly jumped down. Its forehead, beard, chest, and pads all shone with scorching blue light. Surrounded by electric light. Zeraora, who slashed down with a thunderous slash, seemed to be thundering down from 9 days, and pounced at a huge bird and beast that was circling in the air with its back facing it. This peculiar bird elf is mainly composed of red, yellow, blue and a little cyan. The neck is like a snake, and the body from the neck down is wrapped in yellow down feathers. The feathers on the wings are yellow and blue, and there are 3 sharp claws at the ends. The feathers on the legs are cyan and blue, respectively. Like its hands, it also has only 3 claws on its legs, and a long brown red tail that resembles a beast, but at the end of its tail there are blue feathers arranged in a 5-pointed star-like pattern. This is a bird Pokemon, Archaeopteryx, that has been confirmed as extinct in its birthplace today. And this moment. The Archaeopteryx, who had obviously been wounded a lot, only had time to turn around. Then I saw a big golden cat with an electric glow rushing towards him. Immediately, from the opponent's sudden right fist, a large piece of dazzling and magnificent azure electric light burst out into a raging fist of lightning. In the sight of Archaeopteryx, it was quickly enlarged. Bang! The sky was spinning, accompanied by the crisp sound of bone cracks, and the Archaeopteryx, whose cheeks were deeply sunken, was spun by a huge force and hit the ground heavily. A huge pothole several meters deep was knocked out directly on the solid soil layer full of ore. Smoke is everywhere. Spider-like cracks. 8, 5, 6, 1, 0.9, 7 inches 8, 2. Long, almost covered the entire rock basin. You command Zeraora to defeat the Archaeopteryx, gain a little, battle experience plus 20, Zeraora experience plus 20, lightning flash proficiency plus 3, charging proficiency plus 3, plasma lightning punch proficiency plus 3. Close black lens bracket. Accompanied by the system beep. Zeraora, who was a little out of breath, was condensed all over her body, and she suddenly pulled up a layer. And with the help of the supplement of the electrical factor at the time of breakthrough, Zeraora's breath, who was still tired at first, calmed down. Yes, another level up. Looking at the data panel that appeared in his eyes, Zeraora jumped from level 51, 95 100ths, to level 52, 15 100ths. By Z's expression was light. Grades like this climb. From yesterday to now, he has experienced it more than 10 times. Almost numb to this already. However, it's finally over. Looking at the experience synchronization buff mark on the personal panel that gradually disappeared after the number returned to 0, Z suddenly sighed with relief, and sat on the ground with a drum. From yesterday to now. In order to take advantage of the experience synchronization buff to the greatest extent, Z accompanies Zeraora without any rest for 24 hours in a row as he rampages between the complex cliffs. It can be said. In addition to the simple satiety, he was exploring, searching, traveling, and fighting almost all the way. 24 hours, a total of 102 battles, helping Zeraora to obtain 920 experience points, and a level from the 42-level Gymnasium Intermediate level, all the way to the 52-level Quasi-King of the first level. And different from the replenishment and recovery that Zeraora can get every time the level climbs, Z this time is completely high-intensity non-stop operation. If it weren't for his physical fitness now far beyond ordinary people. Spiritual power has reached an inhuman level. I'm afraid he won't be like he is now, he just feels a little exhausted. But enough to pay, naturally also have enough return. Not to mention Zeraora, in addition to successfully advancing to the Quasi-King realm in terms of level, the 24-hour high-intensity battle and running in not only formed a preliminary tacit understanding between it and Z, but also in the use of skills, and the idea of battle has made a big breakthrough. Let's just talk about Zeraora's exclusive trick, Plasma Lightning Fist. With Z's advice and the help of a group of elves who were eager to help with the trick. Originally, it was only possible to simply use the impact force generated by the electrical factor. As an attack method, the Plasma Lightning Punch added a range type, scatter, a penetration type, laser, and a melee type, combo. These 3 modes. It can be said in the shortest possible time. Play this exclusive skill, Plasma Lightning Fist. 0. Ask for flowers. Except for the big head of Zeraora. The remaining 9 elves that triggered the effect of the experience synchronization card, although only increased in level, are also quite gratifying. L. Under infusion of up to 920 experience points. Every elf is conservatively promoted, and it is above the 9th level. Although this trip, Z did not carry the rest of the elves except for Machado, who hid in his shadow to protect himself, and the auspicious Eggs' medical staff, as well as Zeraora. But with absolute memory ability, he can easily estimate the specific level changes before and after the promotion of all elves. Big Needle B. Heavenly King Elementary, level 62, 75 100ths Champion Elementary, level 71, 95 100ths. Wind Speed Dog. Champion Intermediate, level 74, 7100s Quasi-God Intermediate, Level 83, 9100s. Zoroark, Gym Intermediate, Level 40, 65 100s, Gym Peak, Level 49, 85 100s. Laplace, Gym Beginner, Level 35, 60 100s, Gym Intermediate, Level 44, 80 100s. Chirulian, Quasi Tianwang Advanced, Level 58, 80 100s, Tianwang Advanced, Level 68, 0 100s. Iron Dumbbell, Elite Beginner, Level 20, 0 100s, Elite Intermediate, Level 29, 20 100s. Ibrahimovic, Elite Advanced, Level 30, 50 100s, Gym Beginner, Level 39, 70 100s. Geely Egg, Gym Advanced Level 48, 50 100s, Quasi Tianwang Advanced Level 57, 70 100s. Machado, Level 3 God Intermediate, Level 93, 25 100s, First Level Second Level God, Level 102, 45 100s. To be honest, such a level climb, especially for the higher level elves, is simply the speed of light. The increase in combat power is more than several times. Chapter 213, The Ancient Overlord, Discover the Mysterious Pothole. For full order. However, Chirulian and Iron Dumbbells have improved so many levels, I wonder if they have triggered evolution. Baizi touched his chin and thought. It's almost time for Cerulean to evolve, but it would be a pity if he didn't witness the process of its evolution to Xanadu with his own eyes. It's Iron Dumbbells. Although Baizi played well enough on the basis, before and after entering the mountain, he also used medicated diet and ores to make up for his consumption in the background. But the advancement is too fast, especially this kind of automatic improvement without real feeling. Baizi is very worried that the Iron Dumbbell, a little guy who has not been born for a long time, will have unnecessary dependence and comparison on it. Well, when I go back this time, I need to pay attention to this. Baizi had a dark belly in his heart. As a qualified 387 trainer, not only the physical condition of the elves, but also the psychological factors of the elves in hand also need constant attention. After sitting paralyzed for a while, Baizi got up and set his eyes on the great Archaeopteryx in the pothole. Race, Archaeopteryx. Attribute, rock flying. Characteristic, weak. Level, Quasi Tianwang Intermediate, Level 55, 75 100s, Heavenly King Peak, Level 69, 99 100s. Potential, King of Heaven. HP, 75, Attack, 140, Defense, 65, Special Attack, 112, Special Defense, 65, Speed, 110. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Status, poor, hungry, dull. Introduction. This is an ancient elf overlord who has survived by sleeping to this day, but with the passage of time and the replenishment of food, it can gradually restore its former demeanor in a short period of time. To be frank, no matter in terms of preciousness, or in terms of over 100 double attack and speed race values, this Archaeopteryx can be regarded as a very good dual swordsman. The attributes are quite satisfactory, the resistance and attack surface are not too small, but the restrained items are not too much. The only one that's a bit crap. It is the characteristic of the Archaeopteryx that is not as good as it is. In terms of weakness, when the physical strength is halved, it will become weak, and the attack and special attack will be halved. This feature is comparable to the laziness of the King of Leave. It is equivalent to directly cutting off the innate physique of the Archaeopteryx. Calculate in the same way. HP value is almost equivalent to only 38.5, and after this line, once the double attack is halved, the Archaeopteryx is equivalent to a tiger with flat claws. But no matter. This is also an established combat power that can recover to the peak of the king in a short period of time. Although Baizi didn't like it much, he didn't bother to tame this fierce and sleepless ancient elf overlord. However, it's okay to take it and give it to Xiao Huang as a gift. Baizi groaned and touched his chin. With the power of Vibrant, Xiao Huang, who has the ability to bring his own affinity buff, it must not be difficult to tame this ancestor bird. By the time there is an ancestor bird at the peak of the king, Xiao Huang, who is sensitive to his identity, also has a protective trump card, so he will not be able to fight back like he encountered Hunter G before. Thought here. Bai Zi stepped forward and simply dealt with the ancestral bird's injury to ensure that there would be no sequelae, and then took out a luxury ball and put it in it. The Archaeopteryx in a coma was obviously unable to resist. Hu tilde a light sound, the sound of the instruction sounded suddenly. Bai Zi locked the poke ball into the backpack. Subsequently, just as he was about to greet Zeraora and leave with him, he couldn't help but stomped his foot slightly, noticing that his footing was a bit wrong. After a bang, a dull echo sounded. It turned out to be hollow. Bai Zi's expression squinted slightly, and after stepping around the pothole with interest, the smile on his face became obvious. It seems that the range is not too small. Interesting. Taking a step back, the scorching white halo was wrapped in it, and Bai Zi, who was floating in the air, did not see any movement. In the void, a bright white long blade appeared. With a puff, he went deep into the side of the pothole on the ground. Subsequently, click, kacha tilde bang rumbling. With the sound of the rocks breaking, the long white blade drew a circle directly around the edge of the pothole at the bottom of the valley, and then collapsed suddenly. Swish tilde seeing the violent smoke rising up, before Bai Zi stretched out his hand, Zeraora, who was also floating in the air, flashed forward, hooked his claws, and with the flashing electric light, dragged him to the side. Zero. Call one by one. The gust of wind rolled back, directly splitting the rising dust and smoke, revealing a wide opening with a diameter of 3 or 5 meters. And can plasma lightning fist be simplified to this point? Well done, Zeraora. With admiration in his eyes, Bai Zi patted Zeraora on the shoulder and floated straight down the hole. The entrance is a long tunnel. Bai Zi raised his mind power to the extreme, wrapped his body, glanced at Zeraora, who was following him, and, motivated by the desire to explore, thought about the depths of the cave entrance. Click, click. The soil in this cave was not solid enough, but rather soft. Along the way, Bai Zi didn't know how many weathered gravels he stepped on. As Bai Zi continued to go deeper, the dim environment forced him to take out the flashlight to illuminate it. The light beam of the flashlight swiped around. Bai Zi found that this cave has very obvious traces of artificial excavation. There are even a lot of elves and figures painted on the left and right sides of the inner wall. However, the weathering was so severe that Bai Zi could only barely make out the patterns on a few well-preserved murals. And from it, a few elves were slightly identified: Raichu, Electric Dragon, Electric Demon, Lightning Beast, and Lightning Zebra. And the Rentgen Cat. Interesting, it turned out to be all electric spirits. And it's all pure electricity. Chapter 214. Power Spar, the bread in the secret room. For full order. This is. Bai Zi suddenly realized that these murals seemed to be a combined pattern. Scattered several elf races. There are also some ancient human beings dressed in strange clothes, kneeling in a circle as if they were facing the sun. The public is aligned with a pattern composed of 2 groups of murals directly above it. Let me see what it is. I couldn't help but leaned closer to the mural, reached out, and wanted to wipe off some of the corners on it, which seemed to be dust near the center of the altar. Look more closely. However, Bai Zi didn't expect that his fingertips just touched the mural, and the contact point collapsed instantly. Immediately afterwards, a whole mural was in front of Bai Zi's eyes, and quickly deserted with the contact point as the center. In no time, it shattered cleanly. This time, it's even more worth watching. This is really. This fresco, which is obviously very precious for archaeological research, was smashed like this, and Bai Zi couldn't help but look stiff, which was a pity. Of course, the most important thing is that because of his recklessness, he failed to see the contents of the mural clearly, and O2 is a little regretful. Forget it. Shaking his head, Baizi continued to explore with Zeraora. The corridor is not too long. And, as it went deeper and deeper, the rock walls on both sides of the corridor gradually changed from a variety of electric elf murals to yellow spar with a light yellow halo. Boom! Click! Baizi tapped the spar twice, then took off a small piece, lowered his head slightly, behind the sunglasses that slipped from the bridge of his nose. The gleaming blue pupils flicker with fluorescence power crystal, a polymer of electrical energy factor, which can be absorbed by elves with electrical properties and provide growth enhancement. Be nice. Baizi secretly stunned. You must know that the value of this power crystal is not as good as the electricity core spar of the same property. But no matter what, it is also a very rare treasure. For the electric elves, just a small piece the size of a palm can produce a weak amplification effect, making the growth rate of the electric elf faster. But if you have a cube-sized power crystal, as long as it does not exceed the king level, you can increase the growth rate of the electric spirit by about 5%. It can be said that as long as there are enough of these things, it is a large-scale organization with an endless supply of backup elves. Let's not talk about how thick this power crystallization tunnel is. After all, it is full of electrical factors, and it is difficult for Baizi to penetrate the spiritual force and measure the general thickness. But even by 3 or 5 centimeters, the 100 or so meters long layer that I can see is probably worth at least hundreds of millions of dollars, which is comparable to the tax revenue of ordinary two-tier cities for several years. This is a real windfall. Heart sigh. However, Baizi was not dazzled by this crazy windfall fan. After all, for him, the main function of money is to provide sufficient resources for the elves in his hands, and the rest is enough for him to enjoy life. Therefore, Baizi just casually stuffed the power spar in his hand into his backpack, and then led Zeraora to move forward. He is now very curious about what is hidden in the ruins in this underground cave. The periphery is covered with so many power spar. Even if there is an electric property slate of Arceus, Baizi, there will not be the slightest surprise. The end is 100 meters away. Under the light of the bright power spar, the gray-white stone gate at the end is unobstructed. Dang dang, as soon as he approached the stone gate, Baizi knocked tentatively. As a flurry of lime rolled down, a non-rock-like echo was heard. And look carefully. A touch of turquoise metal reflection shone. Out tilde. Thorn, Yi Baizi and Zeraora looked at each other, and said nothing. A dazzling electric light was immediately released from Zeraora's raised claw, bursting out countless bright electric monts covering the stone door, like countless swimming snakes fluttering and flying. Moment. This layer of hard withered stone was smashed and scraped away, revealing the original appearance of its interior. This is an iron gate made of an unknown metal. Smooth grooves all over. It seems to form an unknown pattern. But the whole iron gate was integrated, and even the slightest opening and closing gap could not be seen. However, I thought of the entrance to the underwater cave at the bottom of the pool. Baizi reached out and touched the iron gate, but just tentatively pushed it, and suddenly there was a loud noise from this iron gate. Boom! Baizi's heart jumped suddenly, pulling Zeraora directly to teleport 10 meters away. And Zeraora, who reacted immediately, also rushed to Baizi's body again to take precaution. The blue electric monts rose up. Plasma lightning punch, ready to go. And just under the careful watch of Baizi and Zeraora, on the iron gate of unknown metal, red lines like blood vessels suddenly lit up, spreading and covering the whole iron gate. Click. Clack clack clack. Immediately afterwards, the sound of the machine's operation sounded, and the iron gate full of lines cracked from the center into a pattern in the shape of an X. One portion was 4, leaving an arched hole. Behind the entrance of the cave is a huge stone chamber. The whole stone chamber is circular. The top is inlaid with large and small night pearls and various colored gems like stars. The surrounding walls are covered with lightning-like patterns 387. The entire ground has been excavated to resemble a huge circular altar, and there are traces of artificial excavation everywhere. On the ground like an altar, all kinds of elf eggs are placed on each node. But basically no breath of life can be seen, all of which are like fossils. Only the center of the altar. In this stone room, the only place where no traces of artificial excavation can be seen is a bluestone concave mixed with golden yellow irregular crystals surrounded by the altar in the center. Concave interior. A milky white liquid that swam like a ray of electricity rolled spontaneously. The materialized electrical energy factor manifested in the air, like the ocean of Wangyang, filling the entire stone room, like a funnel, being continuously attracted and condensed by it. Baizi did not enter rashly. Instead, he directly probed the past with the power of Baizi. But then, Gudong Baizi, who figured out what the liquid lightning-like substance was, couldn't help swallowing. This Nima. Chapter 215, Origin of Life, the New Zeraora. For full order. Electricity. Origin of life. Originally it was the source of life that could give birth to the legendary elves of electricity, but now, consciousness has been lost, and only the function of creating the next electricity legend. This is the substance that can breed the legendary elves of the electric attribute. Baizi's heart trembled. But soon, after restraining the shock in his heart, he couldn't help sighing again. In my mind, like a slideshow, I reviewed the scattered contents on the murals I saw along the way. A little combination. Combined with the layout of the stone room in front of you, and the elf egg that has no signs of life on the altar node. A flash of inspiration flashed in Baizi's mind like a broken string. Heart. Suddenly a guess arises. Baizi squinted his eyes, pulled down his sunglasses, and his blue pupils shone with brilliance that no one could see. In an instant, the information of the sporadic elf eggs came into view one by one. Electric shock monster elf egg. The power source is fully charged, the energy is overloaded, and there is no sign of life. Pichu elf egg. The power source is fully charged, the energy is overloaded, and there is no sign of life. Pachirit's elf egg. The power source is full, the energy is overloaded, and there is no sign of life. Opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. The power source is fully charged, the energy is overloaded. The power source is fully charged, the energy is overloaded. The power source is fully charged, and the energy is overloaded. These electric elf eggs that have no signs of life. One counts as one. All are filled with excess power source. Zeraora, the source of life with electrical attributes should be difficult to absorb, right? Baizi's voice was a little low. Ow tilde. Zeraora nodded. As an eudaemonary beast that was also born from the source of life produced by natural lightning, although Zeraora did not have as much information as Baizi's investigation, she still knew enough about the process of her ignorant birth. The process of their birth is actually protected by nature. And it has a natural attraction to external attribute energy. Not to mention being absorbed. In this state, it would be good if they didn't suck the other party dry. Is that so? Baizi lowered his eyes. Special stone chambers, electrical life essences that have lost signs of life and consciousness, and a group of elf eggs that have absorbed life essences that are difficult to absorb. Combined with what Zeraora said. And the information that Baizi himself obtained from the murals. Baizi has probably figured out the function of this stone room, and the general process of the matter is that the ignorant electric system life source was discovered by a group of ancient humans. I don't know what happened in the middle, the life essence of this electric property stayed here, and was worshipped by the local people as a god. With the help of the electric spirits attracted by the life essence, this group of ancient humans grew rapidly and developed a kingdom. But in the end, it still mistrusts humans. Although because of the lack and incompleteness of the murals, Baizi was unable to fully understand what happened at the beginning. But there is no doubt that this mass of electrical properties of life essence failed to be born in the end. The people who grew up because of it finally turned his attention. Falls on itself. Humans' greed really does not matter, ancient or modern. Baizi couldn't help but shook his head and smiled bitterly. He almost subconsciously remembered the legends about Arceus and Medina. Arceus, who was willing to entrust his trust to mankind. Its bond with Deimos did not overcome human greed in the end. Baizi shook his head. There was no further thought about the purpose and fate of these ancient human beings. They are nothing more than ignorant people who covet power. Let's go. Spreading out the superpower, he swept back and forth in the stone room several times. After confirming that there was no danger, Baizi greeted Zeraora and walked into the stone room. Although some are pity and righteous indignation for this electric legend that has not been born yet. But since consciousness cannot be born, this level of heaven and earth treasure, especially a good thing that can create the next legendary power of electricity, naturally Baizi will not miss it. But, just as Baizi and Zeraora stepped into the stone room, between the thorns and the explosions, the white liquid lightning that was originally just slowly swimming in the pits of the bluestone crystal suddenly turned into a straight chain and rushed out. Baizi's expression condensed. The thought power covering the whole body suddenly rose up layer by layer, and the burning white halo only had time to form a set of thought power walls, and the electric light rushed to the front. Subsequently, another turn. He actually bypassed Baizi directly and threw himself on Zeraora beside him. Zeraora. Baizi's expression changed, and just as he was about to make a move, he felt a tug at the corner of his trousers. Looked down. However, he found that Marciado had emerged from the shadow at some point, staring at a pair of innocent orange-red eyes, looking at himself calmly, and shaking his head at him. Although he didn't say anything, Baizi understood what Marciado meant. This was to tell him not to disturb Zeraora. Okay. Baizi nodded. Just now, I was a little concerned and confused. After all, this electric-type life quality is a good thing that can be rumored for a long time. Although Zeraora itself belongs to the category of eudemons, but it is also an electric system, perhaps, this is the reason for the change in the source of life of the electric attribute, maybe. And should be a good change. At this moment, Zeraora, who was standing still, suddenly clenched her fists, raised her head high, and let out a roar towards the sky. Layers of white lightning bursts, causing Baizi to withdraw from the stone chamber. But the stone room itself was not so lucky. The white electric light crawled all over the void like spider veins, and wherever it passed, it was crushed into powder by the seemingly weak electric storm. Good money, Zhao. As the white light gradually dissipated, a powerful energy spread from all over Zeraora's body. Burning white light. It turned into a beam of light reaching the sky and broke through the top of the rock. Invisible fluctuations swept away the smoke rising from the stone room, revealing the scene of a messy stone room. The surrounding walls are full of cracks, and the altar on the ground has long been crushed, and only one remains. Sand residues on the ground. And as the light fades away, Thorn, under the light of the residual lightning in the air, a brand new Zeraora appeared in front of Baizi's eyes. P.S. Anthropomorphic figure of Vulcan Moth Tilda. Chapter 216, Thunder and Lightning, Thunder Tomahawk. For full order. The golden fur of the whole body turned into white, the azure skin was matched with the embellishment of flashing gold, and the golden and white lightning was entwined, and there was an indescribable elegance in awe. Race. Zeraora, original form, thunder form. Attribute. Electricity. Characteristic. Electricity storage, thunder engine, exclusive feature. Can continuously draw energy factor of electric attribute from the void to replenish itself. Level. Elementary King of Heaven, level 60, 15/100. Potential. Level 1 God. HP. 88, Attack. 112 100 seconds, Defense. 75, Special Attack. 102 112, Special Defense. 80, Speed. 143. Exclusive skills. Plasma Lightning Fist, Breakthrough Lightning, Manipulate Electric Factor, Mimicry attacks. Skills. Lightning Flash, high 5 surprise attack, enhanced punch, electric light, loud roar, random grab, quick defense, split, volt replacement, charging, thunder and lightning punch, close combat. Open black lens bracket status, perfect close black lens bracket. Introduction. The meat pads of the hands and feet emit a large amount of current, thereby creating a powerful magnetic field. The power of this magnetic field can also make it float in the air and move at high speed against gravity. In the form, it has absolute control over the electrical attribute factor. Is this a form change similar to Deoxys? Looking at the new value of all 387 displayed on the panel, Baizi's eyes couldn't help but raise a ray of surprise. The benefits of this electric-type life essence to Zeraora are too many. The level directly crossed to the Heavenly King level. The potential also broke through the limit of the second-level god and reached the level of the first-level god. It has a new form similar to Deoxys. Zeraora in the state of thunder, directly transformed from an agile battle into a mobile fort. Or the kind that is fully equipped with characteristics and exclusive skills. Congratulations, Zeraora. Baizi smiled lightly and congratulated Zeraora. But then he found that with such an improvement, Zeraora's face was not good-looking. Baizi frowned slightly, and immediately, he couldn't help but ask, Zeraora, is there something wrong? Ow tilde. Zeraora shook his head, obviously not wanting to say more. Subsequently, it raised its arms slightly, and its palms turned into tiger claws and buckled slightly. Shit! Stabbed! Suddenly, a large number of electrical factors were continuously stripped from the layer of power crystals outside the stone room, and gathered little by little into Zeraora's palm. This process continued for 10 minutes. Wait until that layer of power crystals completely turns gray. Zeraora's hand. A fist-sized white diamond-shaped crystal has appeared. This is... Baizi raised his brows, stretched out his hand from Zeraora to the palm in front of him, and took the white diamond-shaped crystal. The blue eyes that were rising from the clouds swept away. Next second, one power crystal core, a superpolymer of electrical energy factor, which can be directly absorbed by elves with electrical properties to increase their energy levels. At the same time, it can provide a 15% growth increase for electrical elves within a certain range, and it can automatically absorb the free electrical attribute factors in the air to supplement the consumption. You are actually able to achieve this level. Baizi was a little surprised. Good guy. Doesn't this mean that Zeraora can crystallize this kind of natural treasure in 2 power supply games at any time? Seemingly seeing the meaning in Baizi's eyes, Zeraora shook her head, stretched out her hand, and after a while, a golden crystal the size of a broad bean condensed. It is the crystallization of power. And then, a deep voice came into Baizi's ears. Before, it was based on the energy factor of the electrical system gathered over thousands of years. Now, with the help of the mastery of electrical properties, it can only be done to this extent at most. The voice is slightly hoarse and neutral, but it is audible, slightly biased towards female voices, with a feeling of smoke. That's good too. Baizi was obviously satisfied. But then, he was suddenly stunned. Wait. You can talk. No, you can telepathy. Just learned. The crisp and numb smoke came again, and the corner of Baizi's mouth twitched. Zeraola didn't care whether Baizi believed it or not. He squeezed it, and the shattered spar was instantly returned into an electrical factor, which was contained in his body. Subsequently, it stretched out his hand and waved, and Baizi felt an invisible magnetic force surging around him, wrapping himself directly inside. With the coming of a pulling force, ACBH. He, and Marshadow, who was holding his calf at his feet, were carried by Zeraora and flew out of the blasted hole above the stone chamber. Baizi glanced at Zeraora, feeling the almost uncontrollable fire of anger under its calm face, with a slightly sullen expression, opened his mouth, and finally said nothing. And Marshaduo's figure immediately faded, and he returned to the shadows again. Ping! The annular valley pushed the airflow up, blowing Baizi's hair and Zeraora's full body fluff. It's sizzling. Click. Lightning strikes, a thunderbolt from the blue sky. Ow tilde. In the low roar, Zeraora suddenly raised one arm high, and condensed a huge thunder battle axe from the palm of his hand. This thunder battle axe is so dazzling and terrifying. Circles of golden white energy lightning tangled and jumped on the surface, and the surrounding space continued to make waves under its influence, just like the substance. Boom. Subsequently, the strong wind pressure spread in all directions, scraping the surrounding trees. Raised claw arms clasped. Zeraora suddenly made a downward slash. The energy giant axe surrounded by thunder broke through the wind and clouds, pouring down with a piercing scream, like a hot knife cutting butter, piercing the mountains and valleys below. The whole forest was silent at first, and the needles could be heard. Then, boom 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 boom. The scorching thunder burst out along the hollow pit that the thunder giant axe went deep into, and the energy explosion covered all sounds. In an instant, the earth shook and the mountains shook, and the fire was soaring into the sky. The shock ripples gushed out from the center like a tsunami, and the tumbling smoke and dust spread like a ring, overwhelmingly pressing in all directions. Wherever he passed, sand and stones were flying all over the sky, and trees were uprooted by their roots. Fortunately, the blow seemed to be deliberately directed by Zeraora to channel the main energy aftermath into the sky. Stratus scattered. The sky seemed to be pierced by a hole. For a long time, the scorching white energy beam mixed with red and gold was considered a temporary break, and slowly dissipated in front of Baizi's eyes. Huh. Looking at Zeraora, who was breathing slightly beside him, Baizi slowly lowered his gaze. The smoke dissipated, and the scene in it was finally seen clearly by Baizi. Baizi's pupils shrank suddenly, and a ray of horror flashed from his pupils. I saw that the huge stretches of mountains that originally wrapped the valley had completely collapsed into countless pieces of large and small rubble. Especially in the center, the rocks above the ruins were all vaporized and evaporated by the scorching thunder, forming a circle of huge, scorched black and red semicircular potholes like magma. Baizi was shocked in his heart. Is this a brand new exclusive trick, the power of thunder and lightning? Really? Fear. P.S. For the time being, I've decided on Crimson Deoxys Yandi, Qinglu Darklay Ligong. I feel like I've written a bit long-winded lately, so I'm going to simplify it a bit and advance to the quartz contest as soon as possible. This chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the image. Chapter 217. Status Reset, Super Queen Shinado. For full order. Thorn. During the flash of electric light, Zeraora regained her original golden body as if it had faded. The only thing that is different. In its azure blue eyes, there are faintly two scorching white circles, but it is similar to Baizi's cloudy blue eyes. Not only that. Baizi also found out. Zeraora, who was still a little out of breath, after withdrawing from the thunderbolt form and returning to the original form, which is the so-called original form, actually seemed to be a dead tree in the spring. It recovered in an instant. He was full of energy, and his physical strength and energy were extremely full, as if there was no consumption at all. The change of form can actually reset the state. With such a question in mind, Baizi directly asked Zeraora. And Zeraora first nodded in affirmation. But then, it added again, however, if I resume the thunderbolt form in a short period of time, then my state will also be reset again. Is that so? Baizi nodded and said with a smile, that's not bad, at least it's equivalent to having a trumpet of the same level that you can switch at will. On the side, it's equivalent to having an equal amount of backup energy. The source. Zeraora did not deny Baizi's statement. One person and one pet didn't bother to check if any unlucky elves were injured by this blow. Zeraora is confident enough in her own control. As for Baizi, he didn't even need to check it. The system didn't respond in the slightest, and it was obvious that the powerful blow did not hurt any elves. He threw an electric energy block to Zeraora. He took out another piece of superpower and put it in his mouth. Slightly sweet. The taste is a bit like QQ candy. Energy cubes are naturally edible by humans, and even some elf foods are the same. After all, most of these main materials are various tree fruits. Although most of the fruit that has not been diluted and modulated is too sweet or too sour, its nutritional value is also unquestionable. The 24-hour high-intensity battle is over. Zeraora had another adventure. Strength sword. Naturally, Baizi didn't plan to stay in this wilderness. After all, Natsi and the others were still waiting for them at the camp, and the conditions of cerulean and iron dumbbell also needed to be checked. Let's go back. With a greeting, the burning white thought force wrapped Baizi broke free from the magnetic field of Zeraora, and flew forward first. Zeraora followed suit. Seriously. Baizi really wanted to be lazy and let Zeraora take him back. But Zeraora in the original form does not have the powerful control ability of the electric system as in the thunderstorm form, and it is not difficult to pull Baizi up, but if you want to fly with a person and control it with the electric system in the original form, there is still some power. Not caught. The scenery flies, and the wind blows. This was the first time that Baizi used his mind to wrap himself and fly at full speed. To be frank, it feels so cool. The speed doesn't seem to be slow either. And not to mention Zeraora, it followed Baizi's side on the electricity, indescribably relaxed and carefree, obviously did not use all his strength. One person and one pet, walking through forests and streams, across waterfalls and around peaks. Following the faint spiritual feeling in my heart, I flew all the way in a straight line, but it took more than an hour. It was not until the sky darkened and the early morning of the morning that Baizi and Zeraora could faintly see the bonfire lit by the camp. Baizi suddenly accelerated. When he got closer, he saw a white and petite figure standing pretty on the edge of the fire. Under the hazy moonlight, the bangs with the drooping shoulders were blown up in the evening wind, revealing the jewel-like red eyes, reflecting the slender figure of Baizi descending from the sky. Cerulean. Baizi. Cerulean smiled brightly, and layers of dazzling white light suddenly surged around her body. Under the wrapping of this white light, Cerulean's figure gradually grew, becoming more slender, graceful and beautiful. In the end, the white light disappeared. It was revealed that after the evolution was completed, the super-powerful Queen Shinado wore black long skirts one by one, and the skirt fluttered, like an elf in the dark night. The luxurious purple hair was curly, the two ends outlined the ears, the slanted C covered the white side face, and the warm pink eyes seemed to tell a silent secret. On both sides of his face, the structure of thorns zigzag upwards as like a mask for a ball. Her pure white arms seemed to be wearing elbow-length black dress gloves. And that ran through the body, moving to the orange-red fin-like horns on the chest and back. It is said. It's the materialized hearts of the Xanadus. It is unimaginable that there are spirits that look so similar to humans in this world. This elegant and luxurious elf in front of him almost perfectly fits all human aesthetics to a certain extent. No wonder in the Fengyuan area there will be so many human trainers, who forsake ethics and marry their own Xanadu. Even Baizi. After witnessing the beautiful figure of Shinado, I couldn't help but flash a ray of surprise and sigh. The once little girl has finally grown up. 0. Ask for flowers. Thought. In Baizi's heart, he couldn't help but feel an old father-like relief. Welcome back. A gentle voice sounded in Baizi's mind. Shinado held her hands on her stomach, showing her dignified and elegant temperament. Seeing Baizi, she blinked playfully and looked very cute. I'm back. Baizi responded, but then, an inexplicable emotion suddenly rose from the bottom of his heart. It felt like a wife was waiting for her husband to return home. Sana tilde. Accompanied by a soft moan, the spiritual escape that Shinado connected to also seemed to be disconnected. Immediately afterwards, Baizi saw a blush rising from Shinado's cheeks. Baizi. Wait, I remember that whether it is Leloras or Cerulean, the Shinado family seems to be naturally able to sense the emotions of humans and other elves. And as the final evolution type, Shinado is undoubtedly more powerful. Cough tilde. Baizi looked away a little embarrassedly, and quickly calmed down his messy thoughts. Terry tilde. Wu tilde. So At this moment, a group of left-behind elves who also discovered Baizi immediately surrounded him. Even Laplace, who has always been reserved, slid the ice path created by him, moved to Baizi's side, and kept rubbing his big head against Baizi's ear. Although only a day apart. But the first brief separation still made the elves feel a little uncomfortable. Perhaps they have long been inseparable from the young man in front of them. Haha, all right, are you trying to suffocate me? Baizi chuckled and pushed the group of friends who were surrounding him. He glanced at the pretentious big needle bee, and nodded. Then she looked at Natsi, who was sitting on the tablecloth in the camp. At this moment, Nazi's pretty face was pale, with a very rare delicate appearance. Seeing Baizi looking at her, she suddenly smiled softly. But then, look relaxed. On his back, the grass to the back fell softly. Natsi. P.S. Wife Shanae duo picture tilde a few. Chapter 218. A Blessing in Disguise, X, Form and Y form. For full order. Is it better? On the grass, Natsi's eyelashes with her head resting on Baizi's legs trembled slightly, and Baizi gently stroked the beauty's scattered bangs. The gentle power of Baizi slowly flowed out. Accompanied by Baizi's fingers, the gentle pressure spreads all over the body, but there is a cool feeling in the brain, like a cool breeze in the scorching summer, with an indescribable lightness. Hem tilde. Natsi replied in a low voice. At this moment, the original feeling of splitting headache has dissipated a lot, and the mental power has recovered a little, even, it seems that there is energy. Yeah. At this moment, Baizi suddenly flicked his fingers and gave Nazi a brain break. In the exclamation, an obvious red mark appeared on Nazi's white forehead. Facing Nazi's slightly widened wine-red eyes, Baizi reached out and rubbed the red mark. 387, said as if being annoyed, still staring at me. Let me ask you, how did I tell you before? Huh, don't talk. Okay, then I'll repeat it to you. I said, let you give me intermittent mental signals 24 hours after I left. Especially emphasized twice, after 24 hours. Intermittent. But what about you? How did you do it? 24 hours of uninterrupted emission of high-frequency mental waves. Ha tilde. Do you think you are a supernatural beast, or have your spiritual power reached the master level and can be compared to a legendary elves? Aren't you afraid of burning your brain? Saying that, Baizi was obviously a little bit angry, and he thought about a lesson to make her memory refreshed, but she couldn't bear to do anything heavy. In the end, I had no choice but to play Nazi with a brain break. Although it has changed a lot for Baizi, Nazi is not the kind of transparent woman, so she was somewhat aggrieved when she heard the words, I'm just afraid that you won't find a way back. Baizi's breathing stagnated when he heard the words. Quite a while. He couldn't help sighing, picked up Nazi's pretty face, and lowered his forehead to the other's forehead. Looking at each other, he said softly, Okay, I apologize, I shouldn't have said such a heavy word. I know, you did this for me. However, have you ever thought that once you really cause irreparable consequences, what should I do? So, promise me, you can't do such reckless things in the future, okay? Just for me. Hem tilde. Nazi responded in a low voice, and her heart suddenly turned cloudy. Want to nod. But Baizi's forehead was pressed against him, and his movements suddenly became like a coquettish kitten rubbing against him. The two were tired and crooked for a while, and soon, Natsi became a little drowsy. After all, although she was lucky, there was nothing serious, and she even got a blessing in disguise and increased her mental power. But after all, she spent a lot of time and calmed down. The body naturally urged her to rest. After settling the sleeping Natsi, Baizi walked out of the tent lightly. It was getting late. Most of the elves also reclined on cushions beside the fire. Only Shinado. With her slender arms dancing lightly, she was gracefully standing beside a stove that was built at an unknown time not far away. But, because there is a layer of translucent lavender power barrier blocking it, Baizi couldn't smell it at all. Did not come forward to interrupt. Baizi just meaningfully found a spare cushion and sat cross-legged, supporting his chin with one arm, and waited quietly. Speaking of which, even he didn't know when Shinado learned to cook. But, compared to this, he is more curious about the changes in Shinduo's current attributes. He didn't have time to check it out before because of Natsu's matter. Now, it's time to make up. With this in mind, Baizi immediately took action. He reached out and pulled the Mo family off the bridge of his nose. Eyes focused. In the eyes, the unseen ambilight suddenly flickered. Race, Shinado purple flash, X form, inactive, Y form, inactive. Attribute, super, fairy. Characteristics, synchronization, telepathy, Monty. Level, Peak of Kings, level 69, 85 100ths. Potential, level 2 God, extreme. HP, 138 attack, 135 defense, 135 special attack, 135 65 special defense, 155 speed, 150. Exclusive skills, super annihilation, spiritual smash. Open black lens bracket skill, slightly. Close black lens bracket. Genetic skills, black eyes, farewell gifts. Open black lens bracket status, perfect close black lens bracket. Prop, super orb bracelet. Introduction, Leloras, with extraordinary aptitude, is gifted with extraordinary talents and possesses a powerful spiritual power far beyond that of his family. He perfectly integrates the genetic sequences of the two great legends of Dream and Super Dream, thus gaining power and ability beyond the limit. Contains the ultimate power of super evolution. Not bad. 0. Looking at the attribute panel that appeared in the bottom of his eyes, Baizi's eyes suddenly flashed a ray of satisfaction. Shinado has not changed much. Mainly focus on the 2 points of level and racial value. The first is that the level has reached the peak of the king, and it is not far from the championship level. Then there is the racial value. The only thing that has changed is the special attack, but it has been directly increased from the original 120 to 135. But don't underestimate this 15-point improvement. A single race value of 100 is already a class, and 120 is a class. Going up, even if it is raised a little bit, it will be a reborn change. What's more, Shinado increased by 15 points in one breath. But what Baizi really paid attention to was the inactive forms after the 1.7 race of Shinado. Form X, and Form Y. Baizi twisted his chin twice and pondered to himself, I remember that there is only one mega form of Shinado, but now it seems that my Shinado has changed. X, Y. If I remember correctly, the Mewtwo in the theatrical version can also be mega autonomous, and also has two super evolutionary forms X and Y. My Shinado is also the result of this change. Chapter 219, Difficulties. For full order. It's time to eat, Baizi. At this time, a warm voice interrupted Baizi's thoughts. As soon as Baizi looked up, he saw Shinado's skirt fluttering in steps. On both sides of the body, two marble-patterned porcelain bowls were suspended on the left and the right. Smoke billows rise. The mellow fragrance rushed into the nose immediately. It smells so good. Baizi couldn't help but sniffled and praised. I didn't expect you to have this skill, Shinado. I never knew when you learned to cook. It's just recently. I used to watch you cook, Baizi, and then I learned a little bit. This is my first practice. Shinado responded softly and carefully placed the two meat soups on the low table. Then I'll have a good taste. Baizi shifted his position, got close, scooped a spoonful with a spoon, blew the heat, and put it in his mouth. Very pure fresh meat flavor, loose and moderate, with the salty rice porridge, the subtle aroma of onion and the taste of the dish immediately emerged from it. With pure fragrant fresh meat, the taste is simply indescribable. Baizi chewed and tasted it carefully, and after swallowing it, there was still a fragrant and mellow taste between the mouth and mouth, which was really fragrant on the cheeks. Not bad. Just this one serving of vegetable O2 meat porridge, your cooking skills are no less than mine. Baizi complimented, then scooped another spoonful and put it in his mouth. While eating, he also squinted at the big yellow cat half curled on the cushion, and said with a smile, "Okay, Zeraora, don't pretend to sleep when you're hungry. Didn't Shanado prepare you for it?" The voice fell. One by one, a faint electric light flickered, and Zeraora's figure disappeared in front of Baizi with another bowl of meat soup. Baizi suddenly burst into laughter. This guy shook his head. After taking another mouthful of porridge, he saw Shanado propped his chin, leaning on one side of the low table and staring at him. Baizi was stunned for a moment. He then raised the porcelain bowl and asked, "Why, want to taste your craft? Are you still hungry?" Shanado subconsciously wanted to refuse, but for some reason, she came up with a reddish face. "Come Tilda." Baizi didn't care. He scooped a spoonful himself, took 2 breaths, and fed it to Shanado. 1 sip per person, and soon the bowl of vegetable and meat porridge came to an end. After the last bite was swallowed by Shanado, looking at the empty porcelain bowl, Shanado's face turned red, and his voice was as thin as a mosquito. I'll make you another." No, Zeraora and I both ate energy cubes on the way, we're not hungry." Baizi quickly waved his hand to refuse. But his voice just fell. Ting-Yi, the familiar lightning flashed again, and Zeraora appeared at the low table with a contented face. Turning the porcelain bowl towards Shanado, he nodded and thanked, "How Tilda." Looking at the clean bowl of noodles with no trace of rice and soup, Baizi looked a little weird. After subconsciously looking at Shanado, they couldn't help but laugh out loud. 0_0. Zeraora suddenly looked puzzled. I don't know why the owner and Shanado laughed so unprovoked. If you can't figure it out, then don't want to. Zeraora is not the kind of elf who likes to get to the bottom of things, even putting that aside, after saying hello to Shanado and Baizi. Take off one by one. Leaping to the top of a nearby giant tree, wrapping his arms, his golden hair like a streamer fluttering in the wind, he looks very handsome. Before, most of the tasks of the vigil were done by the giant Needlebee alone. But later, for the sake of fairness, Baizi negotiated with the elves under him about the rotation system of the field vigil, including himself. Every night, the 2 guards will be guarded in the middle of the night. Today it happened to be his and Zeraora's turn. He was in charge in the first half of the night, and it was Zeraora's turn in the second half of the night. But just after eating, Zeraora may still need to digest food before falling asleep. Okay Shanado, you should rest early too, we have to hurry tomorrow morning. Seeing that Shanado finished washing the dishes and carefully covered each of the elf companions with blankets in turn, Baizi smiled comfortably and warned softly. Sana Tilda. Shanado hesitated a little, and wanted to speak to replace Baizi for one night, but she already knew her master's temperament, and finally nodded. First, Baizi took out an inflatable cushion from his backpack. Quickly inflated, but on Baizi's back. Then, he found another slightly larger blanket and put most of it on Baizi's lap, and then wrapped himself in it against Baizi's side. Baizi shook his head with a light smile, and evened out the blankets. Lie down with your hands dragging the back of your head. The angle of the inflatable cushion is just right, and it does not affect the stretching of Baizi's body at all. Skyrim. The night is getting darker. The clear sky without the slightest pollution, even at night, has a different kind of purity. From time to time, 1 or 2 meteors streak past, as if on the black curtain, opening up white openings. Baizi let out a long sigh of relief and turned his attention to the iron dumbbells who were sleeping soundly beside him. Elite Primary Level, Level 29, 2100ths. This level, including the energy level saturation of its attributes, has reached the critical point of evolution. Originally, Baizi thought that Iron Dumbbell, like Shinado, deliberately suppressed the urge to evolve, and wanted to wait for him to come back and witness the process of evolution with his own eyes. But then he found himself thinking too much. The Iron Dumbbell guy. Although the attributes are full and the energy is saturated, there is really no sign of evolution. Baizeji's investigation did not have much explanation. Just at the end of the introduction column, marked a sentence during the exercise, there is a lack of external stimuli. In this exercise, after repeated investigations and superpower scans, he basically figured it out. 387. The excess energy of the iron dumbbell did not leak out, but spontaneously tempered its physique and surface. This is naturally a good thing. After all, such a fundamental strengthening is very beneficial to the enhancement of the physique and resistance of iron dumbbells. But this lack of external stimuli. Could it be that the internal circulation of energy and physique caused by strengthening suppresses the evolutionary power of iron dumbbells? So, external stimulation is needed to break the balance of this internal circulation. But what should be done? Looking back at the bright starry sky, Baizi's eyes fell into contemplation. He is not short of methods. Whether it is attribute stimulation, natural treasures, or superpower stimulation. There are dozens of external stimulation methods he can think of, but he can't guarantee that these methods are completely harmless to iron dumbbells. Therefore, Baizi did not dare to try these methods indiscriminately. This is equivalent to being helpless. Forget it, the boat will naturally straighten when it reaches the bridge. Let's do this first, it's really not good, I can only go to Dr. Damu to help me study it. P.S. Anthropomorphic figure of Dazuiwa tilde. Chapter 220. Returning to Kanto. Yayi, I don't want to live anymore, I want to die. Please complete the order. Early the next morning, Baizi and his party set off again. This time, nothing else was delayed. Under the full-speed attack of the wind-speed dog, he went all the way through forests, rivers, mountains and rivers, and finally arrived at Zonlin City in the evening. The Chengdu area is surrounded by mountains and seas. Nearly half of the cities in the south are close to the sea, and there are quite a number of seaport cities. And Zonlin City is one of them. It faces the shallow city in the east across the sea, forming the largest and unique twin seaports in Chengdu. Connecting to Kanto, Fangyuan and 7 islands respectively. It is one of the largest seaports in the world, with an annual throughput of more than 300 million tons. Fanglai City and his party have gained a lot. Not only did he add another hero to the team, but also the experience synchronization card gained while clearing the rubbish made the power of Baizi's elves soar. It can be said. This time, although it was said to be a game, in fact, it did not waste any time at all, but it was very rewarding. Therefore, Baizi didn't rush back in a hurry. Instead, I chose to take a long-distance passenger ferry, from Zonlin Wharf, all the way west, down to Kanto. Over the Whirlpool Islands. Passing through the 3 towns of Epi, Jaihua, and Wakaba, arriving at the Kanto Sea, bypassing the Red Lotus Island, going straight to the east of the Twin Island, and arriving at the shoreline of number 19 waterway before Q City, the last stop in the inland sea. Baizi and his party got off the passenger ship. Half a month later. Once again set foot on the Kanto, this familiar land. It feels like home. On the shore, facing the peaceful and warm sea breeze, Baizi stretched his waist without any scruples, let out a long sigh of relief, and said with a sigh. Unconsciously. He has already identified with the elf world and the land of Kanto. 19th. Although Natsi didn't want to be as indifferent as before, but in places with many people, she still subconsciously behaved relatively coldly. With only the sleepy Monini in his arms, he quietly followed Baizi's side. But handsome guys and beauties always catch the eye. Especially, a guy like Baizi who not only has an extraordinary bearing, but also has very obvious physical features. However, the two lives have been seen so much, Baizi has already developed resistance, and he can be defiant. Let's go to the light red city first, but don't rush to challenge the gym, find a hotel to take a rest, and go to the light red gym in the afternoon. Baizi clicked on the elf bracelet, determined the route of travel, marked the light red gymnasium, and while booking the hotel, he said, "This light red gymnasium is unique, even if it is not built in the urban area, it is not in the suburbs." Instead, they ran into the deep mountains and old forests. Quote, Nazi naturally has no opinion. Along the way, whenever there is any important decision, it is entirely up to Baizi to make the final decision, she just needs to follow quietly. By the way, let's stop by the light red city elf center. Calculate the time. It's been almost a month since the last breeding test of Geely eggs. Exactly, the second test will be carried out in light red city. By the way, send this guy to Xiaohuang. Baizi took out a locked pokeball and threw it. It's in here. It was the great Archaeopteryx. And just when Baizi boarded the land of Kanto again and set off for the light red city. On the other side. Fenglai Port in Chengdu. A black-haired girl with a bun head, a detective cap, and a detective's shoulders also set foot on this southern land. At her feet was a turquoise snake elf with legs. By the shoulder. It is a purple floating elf who is spinning upside down and playing with himself. This combination of two pets is precisely Mei, her initial elf vine snake, and Poison BB. Finally, it's here. With no scruples about the gazes of others, Yayi raised her hands high and shouted with a look full of vitality. Then, with a foolish look, he, sneakily, pulled Poison Babe behind a wooden bench in a park not far from the shore. Clenching his small fists, he asked excitedly, "How about Poisonous Baby, are we already very close to that guy? Hurry up and take out the little color painting and determine the direction and distance. Find that person as soon as possible, and start our new journey. Let's go rescue the trapped big cube together." Heart at Ava at J tilde. In the voice, there is a sense of great mission that is about to complete a certain character. Bye tilde. When Du Bebe heard the words, her cheeks suddenly bulged, and she turned her upside-down body upright. I know, tilde. Yao Yi seemed to understand what Du Bebe was trying to convey, and pouted slightly. Who told you not to tell me its name? Also, what you draw looks like a square. Quote. Beiyi. As soon as these words came out, Du Bebe thought carefully. Follow the revelation picture given by the elders. God, seems to be really a big black square curled up in a spherical prison. Wrong. Poison BB thought about it carefully. This should be a diamond, right? It's not a big block, v#. But just when it was about to speak out. The painting in his arms suddenly felt a violent pulling sensation again. I tilde. After confirming the direction and the strength of the pulling feeling, even Dubé was a little dumbfounded. What's wrong? Seeing that Dubé's expression was a little wrong, Yayi suddenly had a bad premonition in her heart, and asked nervously. But then. Toxic Babe's performance confirms her hunch. Good money Zhao. After seeing the little purple beast looking at her speechlessly, it swiveled its body and aimed the needle on the top of its head on the ground. Between the sprays of purple liquid, it began to paint and paint again. Soon, a comic strip appeared on the ground. Fujitang tilde. Next to him, Tang Tang Snake glanced at it, and immediately stroked Fueyu helplessly. And after reading it, Yayi had a badly played expression on her face. It was as if the relatives had just left last night. She woke up early this morning and was ready to eat cold drinks, but she found that the other party came again. Feel not alive, let me die, tat.